in the hell do you think you're doing?
Hey, John Boy.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid.
And again, it's picked up. It's Darius Leonard. A pick six for the Maniac. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. Yes, sir.
Sabonis down the lane with authority.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome in. We got a busy Thursday on tap for you. I hope you guys plan on joining us, hanging around for a while, and talking some sports. Last night had an opportunity to be a hell of a lot worse than it turned out to be. Starting with IU, and yes, that was one of the worst first halves of basketball I think we've all seen. Then we got a load of the Pacers a little bit later on, which rivaled the IU in the way that they played, but that was the entire game with IU and Northwestern. But there's a silver lining there. You get the win. And I don't care what anybody says, that was a must-win situation last night for IU at Northwestern. Had to have it. And if you had to play like a bunch of dudes in jean shorts at your local YMCA to get there, then so be it. Because that's exactly what that first half looked like. Looked like both sides had jean shorts on. But then you get in a couple of overtimes. You just had to have that win. And it was ugly. Matters not, though, right? I mean, just move forward and see if you can string. This is what I was talking about yesterday. See if you can string something together. Now, I'm not making this call. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but maybe, maybe Armand Franklin takes off a little bit now. Maybe Al Durham takes off a little bit now. Probably not, but maybe. And at least you didn't suffer what would have been embarrassing going up there and losing to that Northwestern team that hadn't won since the end of December. And Northwestern sucked, too. I mean, you talk about not being able to put anybody away a couple of different times, and they didn't. But that was ultimately good for IU, and IU gets the win. We shall discuss that at length if you guys want to get into it. We certainly can. And then after that, you got to go home last night, or I don't know, turn on the radio here and listen to some of the worst basketball from the Pacers that we have listened to or watched in a long time. That first half, I mean, really, if you're going to say, all right, John, would you rather, you guys ever play that drinking game, would you rather in college? This would be a hell of a question. All right. I mean, normally when you're in college and you're playing, would you rather, I mean, ultimately you're just trying to, get it on. You're hoping somebody asks you a question so you can spark a little curiosity, right? Last night, you would have said, hey, John, would you rather have an enema or watch this first half over again? I'm telling you, I might be taking the enema. Now, if you ask about a root canal, maybe not the root canal. Yeah, the root canal, maybe the enema, though, because it was some of the worst basketball. I don't think I'm living in a land of hyperbole right here. It was some of the worst basketball that we have seen the Pacers play. Now, granted, they've been going down this slope. What are they, 4-10 since the Vic trade now? I mean, you can look at it this way, too. There's no doubt. People say, did they miss Oladipo? Yeah, they miss Oladipo. I mean, they miss another competent offensive player. They miss another offensive weapon. And he's an offensive weapon. And what did you do? I mean, you traded away an offensive weapon, and you got a big puff of air as of right now in return. I mean, you got this. Well, this is what you hope it turns out to be later on this year. So, yeah, I mean, when you trade that in for nothing as of right now, that is going to have an effect. But the way that they come out and the way that they played in that first and second quarter, was about the worst that I've seen in a long time. I was thinking, you guys, did they talk about this at all last night, Kyle, on the radio broadcast as to what depths we were watching there in that first half? Because it was some of the worst basketball I've seen a Pacer team play in a while. I mean, it was that bad. And listen, I was there last week. A week ago, it was Milwaukee. I was just there watching. It was that bad across the board. And then you end up losing by 10. If anybody, and they probably do, and probably talk about it too, if somebody just got up and looked at the box score and thought, oh, well, look, only a 10-point loss, it wasn't anywhere in that neighborhood. Nowhere near. I mean, in the second half, you could tell, I'm assuming that pride set in. I mean, you get a little bit of pride. You don't want to get embarrassed because they were going down a path of some historic embarrassment for this franchise if they weren't careful. Because Kyrie Irving wasn't going to let up. I guess you're glad last night that Durant didn't play for more reasons than one. But that's bad, and now you got a second of a back-to-back. That was a second of a back-to-back for Brooklyn last night. And, man, they just came out and attacked, and the Pacers could not do anything. Could not do anything offensively, could not do anything defensively. It was an absolute mess. So, really, what I said yesterday about IU, I mean, even in playing one of the worst first half of basketball we have seen, at least IU ended up winning that game, and that's a good thing. But for the Pacers, we were talking about showing some signs of life. A little bit of resistance against a good team. And now you have yourself in the situation, if you're the Pacers later on tonight, you showed little to no resistance, especially in the first half, to a good team. And I know in the second half, they found that pride. They didn't want to get embarrassed. They cut that lead down to, 14, I think, at one point, ended up losing only by 10. But I thought we all understood where that thing was going. Historic proportions in the first half. It was that bad. So now what you find yourself doing is thinking, all right, they can't show said resistance against a good team, one of the better teams in the NBA. Now you find yourself in the second of a back-to-back against arguably the worst team in the NBA, and you need to go in there and get a damn win tonight. Because the alarm bells are really going to sound if you go in and you get housed by that crapola team. And I don't care who are no Vic, with Vic, without Vic, no TJ Warren. You have no business, even on a back-to-back, going in there and getting a house by the Detroit Pistons later on tonight. So you show little to no resistance against a good team, and now you got to go in there and really show a little bit of desire and fire against a team that you should beat regardless of your personnel situation. And if you don't, tomorrow is going to be incredibly interesting to talk about. I mean, hell, it didn't seem that long ago we were talking about this Pacer team and feeling good. And listen, I knew this, and I knew after they decided to go ahead and make that trade. They ran that trade, and you knew that for the foreseeable future, they were going to have to navigate here a little bit. They were going to have to survive, try to keep their proverbial heads above water. But let's just think about it this way. I mean, you get de-pantsed by Milwaukee on the road, and then you lose one you should have won at home to New Orleans, and you play with whatever, Utah on a Sunday, and then get de-pantsed again last night. Now you're under 500 for the first time in a while. I know it's about trying to survive until you get some dudes back, but, hopefully you can do that. All of a sudden, this is turning into, that's why I've talked about, keep it at 3, now at 4. I mean, you don't want this thing to get any worse. When you get Atlanta coming up on Saturday night, and Atlanta should be a little bit salty. They had a game they should have won last night in Dallas and didn't. And Luka had a triple-double. I think they ended up losing 118-117. But the Pacers are in a significant problem spot right now. And now you got everybody saying, well, maybe this Nate is not as good as the other Nate. And I've said this all along, too, for these guys on this team, minus one that they've traded away, but these guys on this team, they wanted this change. Because this wasn't initially the direction that this organization was going to go. They wanted this change. You got to hang with it. I mean, you can't go out and give a first-half crap effort like that and expect everybody not to start coming down hard on a first-year head coach. I mean, this thing can go moving forward and looking good to throwing it in reverse and all of a sudden taking on a lot of water and criticism at the same time in a big hurry. It easily can. So I don't know on that team who's doing it, who needs to do it. And I know sometimes these things can be overrated, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it too. This must-win situation tonight. Must win. It is. Must win. For everything I just described. You got to go in and win. Got to beat Detroit. Detroit is terrible. Here's your must win. Here's your bounce back. Yeah, we're really not like, and again, this is against good teams, and tonight Detroit's, again, 6-win team. You're a game below 500. You want to go 2 games below 500 and lose 5 consecutive to this crappy team in the nation's crappiest state later on tonight that has legalized weed. No, you don't. Listen, I think that every line that I have analyzed so far here points in the direction of this is a must-win. I mean, it's the Detroit Pistons. 6-win team. Things will look a hell of a lot more problematic. And again, you may end up looking at it this way too. Well, if you go up and win tomorrow, it's not that big of a deal because you beat a bad team that you should. Right. But it's sure as hell better than losing to a bad team that you should beat. Which is, I think, everybody's thought process going into watching IU and Northwestern yesterday, late afternoon, early evening. I mean, listen, IU and Northwestern don't seem that far apart, but IU comes off a win over Iowa. Northwestern hadn't won a game since late December. So you go up there and you lose that game. That's why I made that must win one of the reasons why. And no matter how you got down that path, the end result was you got to win, so you take it and you run with it. And you get prepared for Ohio State coming up on Saturday. But, yeah, I will go ahead and make this call right now. Make this call must win for the Pacers. And this is not, I'm not driving the hyperbole bus right here either. This is the flat truth. You guys know this is the truth. How many of you bailed on that thing? 3-7 in your last 10. 4 consecutive losses. And I think everybody can be really happy about how they battled back last night and how they showed some fire in the second half. If you have any pride whatsoever in not wanting to be embarrassed, you talk about getting depantsed. Well, they used to call it, like when you're running around when we were all in late elementary and in junior high back in the day when you have your shorts on and somebody comes up behind you, it's called shucking. Don't get shucked. You know, you get in front of all the girls, you're standing there, and all of a sudden, Pacers were getting shucked last night. That first half. And that second half, you came out, and you showed a little bit of fire, and you showed a little bit of energy. I thought the second half compared to the first does show you, holy crap, if you just have a little bit of energy, more than likely something good is going to happen. They were a hen blank on a pump handle last night. I mean, 0 energy in that first half. Nothing. So just a little bit of energy. And then maybe tonight beat a team like I know a lot of people are set against this right now. They're saying, hey, well, this Pacer team, you're talking about how bad the Pistons are. This Pacer team is just not good right now either. I think you're giving them too much credit. And maybe I am. But looking at the roster, I happen to think if you go up there tonight, even on the second of a back-to-back, and don't win that game, it's going to start leaving some marks here. I mean, we can sit around and hope and cross your fingers in hopes of getting a couple of dudes back one of these days. Meanwhile, the rest of the NBA world moves on down the road without you. And then all the conversations start. Well, hey, this new Nate, all the players wanted. This new Nate has a great offense, and they shoot more threes. But the one thing the old Nate did is he won in the regular season. I'm not making up that argument. I'm just telling you that is the argument that will be developed, will be made up. So, at least for the moment, leave that thing at the doorstep and go up and beat a team that you should beat. Come out with a little bit of energy. I know it's old hat, and it's basketball, and you're a professional player, and you're a guy, and you don't have any idea, whatever. I'd love to have an idea, believe me. I love basketball. Wouldn't it be great to be able to do that for a living? I guess I'd end up bitching about that like I did anything else, but it'd be great. Start out with a little bit of energy. I was trying to think, did anybody have that in the first half last night? I mean, you saw it all the way around in the second. But in the first half, nobody had anything. And listen, you could call Kyrie Irving whatever you want. That dude is taking no prisoners in that situation. He is there to clown. Not to be a clown, as sometimes he can, but to clown. He got that layup. He got that over-under on Miles. Miles still looking for where that thing was shot from. Clowning. All right, we can discuss that if you like at 239-1070, so go ahead and take my must-win situation. What date is this? February the 10th? 11th. February the 11th. Not even to the All-Star break. Not even yet to where they make up the next part of this NBA schedule to close it out. And this idiot radio host is saying it's a must-win situation. Indeed, I am. But yeah, I know everybody. It was tough. You watched that first half of IU at Northwestern, and then you watched the first half the Pacers played. That was some of the worst professional to collegiate basketball we've ever seen. It was awful. Like, I couldn't get home, and I needed to watch the game, so I sat here with Kyle, who was prepping to do the Pacer game on Pacer Radio, and we were watching this, and I'm thinking, this is the worst first half of basketball I have ever seen. And then last night, that first half, the Pacers fouled that up in Brooklyn. And we'll talk about that at great length, I'm sure, with Michael Grady coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. He was there. I'm sure everybody was excited. Everybody was happy. Ryan Mcgee, bottom of the hour. The 30 for 30 that is up next is the 20-year anniversary of the death of Dale Earnhardt. To which you got the Daytona 500 coming up on Sunday. You've got the hell they call them, the twins or the duels? The duels. I forget. That seems like they've changed that name around to these. They have like 19 support races for the Daytona 500, and I have to ask my son what the hell they are. This is a duel, the Clash, or the Twins. But yeah, they're racing tonight down in Daytona. And Ryan Mcgee of ESPN, he's going to talk about that and a lot more. Ryan McGee's a really good dude to talk to as well. He can talk a little college football, a lot more. Ryan Mcgee, bottom of the hour. Brendan Quinn of The Athletic. So we brought this up. So the Big Ten tournament is coming here. How many of these teams, I got to give a shout out to my friend Greg, who asked me yesterday to put that question out there to Rab Johns, and I didn't see it in time. And then I thought, let's just go ahead and bring it back today and do it. So you got college basketball, and this is going to clearly be the mecca. the mecca of college basketball right here coming up in March. At the Big Ten tournament, then you're going to have the NCAA tournament, all housed right here in Indy and, well, early on the surrounding area. Yeah, Bloomington, West Lafayette, and it's going to be glorious. But with the Big Ten tournament in mind, if you're a team and under the stringent testing rules and the protocols that you have to go through, if you're a team in the Big Ten that has solidified your position in the NCAA tournament, and you are, by the Big Ten, given an option, play or not play, how many would play? What might this tournament look like if they're given an option? When is there a decision going to be made? Has there been a decision made? Will they get an option?
Well, I don't know if they're going to get an option, but the Big Ten is probably going to try to push all these teams to play.
You would think.
There's a lot of TV money on the line there.
Yeah. But would you want to? Would you want to jeopardize it? Knowing what you know about your team, where you are? Because let's face it, I mean, these nerds that do these bracketology things are pretty close to being right. Or else we wouldn't be listening to. And they're pretty close to being right, so you pretty much know where you're going to end up, or some will end up knowing where you're going to end up regardless of the outcome. Now, if you're a French team that feels as if it is on the, quote, bubble, then you'll want to come and rock it. But, you know, if you're one of those teams that has it solidified, let's just say this. If you were back in a team when you knew where they were going to be in the NCAA tournament, would you give a crap whether or not they played in the Big Ten tournament here? You're rolling the dice a little bit because that Big Ten tournament is going to move on without. Check that. The NCAA tournament is going to move on without you. Brendan Quinn of The Athletic is going to answer some of those questions coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, too. And Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 is going to be here in the 5 o'clock hour. We're going to have all the Carson Wentz news that you haven't heard in the last 35 minutes, which is nothing new. Like Mark Cecil sent me this. JMV, Carson Wentz stat this year, they were worse than Brissett last year. Numbers don't lie. The return of this investment doesn't look good. Go for Dak Prescott. He's a free agent. You don't have to give up anything. Oh, I mean, if Dak Prescott is available, I would say, listen, and Mark, I get it. Like, I will easily go with Dak Prescott over Carson Wentz in any argument. It's just if Dak Prescott is going to be available. The reason why we lean on this Carson Wentz storyline is because it has been widely reported that Carson Wentz is indeed a tradable commodity, and teams have reached out. That's what makes it so difficult compared to last year. Last year it was easy. As I mentioned before, last year was just stinking window shopping. Window shopping and then selling yourself to that free agent. Now you have to have some reliance. You have to work with people. Create some deals. I do $1 million deals before breakfast, babe. A little diehard line for you. Ellis. But yeah, you have to do deals. I mean, and you got to find out whether somebody's available, like Russell Wilson. Does anybody really think Russell Wilson is going to have availability? It seems like Russell Wilson, for the first time in the career of Russell Wilson, is trying to get what he wants and appears to be okay with looking like the proverbial a-hole. Doesn't mind it. I mean, in the past, he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year, great guy. Now it kind of seems like, maybe he's getting this territory where it's reported that he wants a little bit more say, or some say, in the decision-making Seattle. All of a sudden, that is going to vilify him. It just will. It will vilify him just like it would anybody else in that situation. But do you really deep down inside believe that he's going to be available? You love talking about Deshaun Watson for the better part of a month, but do you really believe that he's going to be available? So you have to try as best as possible to keep this between the lines. And the reason why we talk about Wentz, and Wentz had an awful season a year ago. And I've said, if you had me choose one or the other, and nothing is really, I don't get a sports arousal out of either. Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold. But I would go with the younger Darnold because Wentz looked like he was a broke blank this past year. Without getting into all the excuses as to why. That's it. As to why. We'll hit that too if you like. 239-1070. Email address at JMV at 1070thefan.com. Inside the Lounge on YouTube Live. Welcome in, everybody. I'll log on in a second, and we'll start talking about stuff that we normally talk about inside the lounge during this show. If you want to be there, you can. The Ride with JMV on YouTube Live. You can post topics, participate in conversations. Be a jackass, I guess, if you want. You'll get punted, but if you want to, you can. Give it a try. Listen to the show. Watch the show. Ryan Mcgee, Michael Grady, Brendan Quinn, Mike Chappell. Busy Thursday, 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
This is Chris Ambrose with B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. Visit us at BigBlackTrucks.com for your free second opinion on your HVAC system.
B&W, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Lovers Lane presents the do's and don'ts for this Valentine's Day. Do make your loved one feel special. Don't forget, Valentine's is the 14th. Don't feel sad if you don't have a date. Do something special for you. Don't be boring. Be adventurous, romantic, playful. Valentine's Day at Lovers Lane is always new, always exciting. This Valentine's Day, don't just gift. Give the best gift ever. Find a store near you at loverslane.com.
Hey, one of the things I love about betting on basketball is I'm always finding new player props or game props that I really like. And what's cool about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine those props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. Hey, it's Jeff again to tell you about same-game parlays, my favorite way to go on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's called the same-game parlay bet for a reason. You take a couple of bets within the same game, you put them together, you get a parlay, you can win some money on FanDuel. Right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls one leg short with same-game parlay insurance. You heard that right. Every single day, new users, existing users, doesn't matter. It's why I bet on FanDuel, and you get your money back very quickly. So many great things, fast odds boosts and specials every day. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today. Use the promo code WFNI. That's WFNI. 21 or over, present in Indiana. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit. Expires in 7 days. Max refund $25. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, it's time to check out the brand new Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood. This place is unreal. It's like a sports bar for your head. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood on State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Get an unbelievable haircut, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment for a great price. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men has won double-digit men's styling awards, and their talented stylists are delivering the best haircuts in all of Indy. On State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Lady Jane's in Greenwood, it's wicked awesome.
Hey, JMV here. I've told you this before. Valentine's Day, right? It's coming up on Sunday. If you're like me, I have never gotten it right. I have whiffed every single time. I mean, really, just right down the boulevard fastballs to me. 1, 2, 3, done, right? This year's going to be different, though, because I partnered up with ProFlowers.com. That's an FTD company, and they have done me a solid. And I mean the absolute best, because now I'm taken care of for Valentine's Day, and there has been a lot of thought put into this. And I am getting a awesome bouquet, a great arrangement of flowers that my wife is going to dig. So if you have trouble for Valentine's Day like I have had in the past, and for me it's been forever, then let's do this together here. Let's do it right together for Valentine's Day coming up on Sunday, and go with an arrangement from ProFlowers.com, an FTD company that she will love. And now, for a limited time, here's the kicker, and you'll love this. You can save 20% on your next purchase from ProFlowers.com. Just use my promo JMV. Again, 20% off of your next purchase. Do that right now. ProFlowers.com, promo code JMV, just in time for Valentine's Day. One more time, that's ProFlowers.com, promo code JMV right now.
If you qualify, the VA loan program is the best option out there. Whether you're refinancing or buying a home, visit HeroLoan.com.
NMLS number 1326-241.
Sports with Dan Dakich.
Greg Cosell, nice enough to join. Colts need a quarterback. What would you do?
They don't really have one under contract except for Jacob Eason. I have no idea what they think of him. People talk about Carson Wentz because of Frank Reich. Other than that, you might have to look to the draft. I'm not sure where you go, but you need a quarterback just for competition. I don't know if you're going to get the guy that's the savior of the franchise, Dan, but you need competition at the quarterback position.
Dan Dakich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
JMV does not suck at all.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, but the Pacers in the first half did. Woo-wee! Last night. I get Detroit coming up later on tonight. Tip time of that game, 8 o'clock tonight, right? 7:30, your coverage begins right here. Second of a back-to-back that I have dubbed must win. And we'll talk about that with you coming up in a bit, too. Grady, top of the hour, will dive into that game last night between the Pacers and the Nets from Brooklyn. Brendan Quinn from The Athletic regarding the Big Ten tournament and will some teams, if they get the option or the opportunity, opt out if their position is squared away for the NCAA tournament. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59 is going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. A lot of Colts talk then. Meantime, Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from ESPN and ESPN.com. You hear him all the time, and he's a swell dude, to say the least. Ryan Mcgee joins us. Hello, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing better now that somebody just called me a swell dude.
A swell dude. That's
I
high,
like that.
That's high praise for my limited vocabulary, too, Ryan.
Hey, well, listen, I'm on Twitter a lot, so that's about the best thing I've been called all week, so I appreciate that.
Hey, before we get into the 30 for 30 and obviously this weekend down in Daytona, you do a lot of college football, so on and so forth. I know you talk some college basketball at times, too, and I'd mentioned before your intro that obviously we're going to be the housing of the NCAA tournament coming up here in the month of March. What do you think about that all the way around? You think they're going to get all the way through this without certain situations cropping up? And do you think this is the best way to go about having this tournament?
Well, first of all, I love the idea. And, if there's a positive spin you could put on sports in a pandemic, it's that, sanctioning bodies and sports leagues and all that have been willing to try new stuff. I mean, in NASCAR, they're going to run a dirt race at Bristol Motor Speedway and weeknight short track races. And, obviously the July 4th deal at Indianapolis Motor Speedway this past year. I like the fact that leagues are willing to try stuff. And so I love the idea. And I love the idea of them playing all this basketball in the Hoosier State all at once. But, yeah, the hurdle's going to be, with that many people coming from that many different places, if you can just keep a lid on this thing for a month, really for 3 weeks. And I think they can do it, but everybody has to cooperate. And so when we see teams struggling to put a team on the floor or canceling games, I live in North Carolina, and watching Duke in the first part of the year struggle through all this. Well, maybe the growing pains are out of the way, and maybe teams will have figured this thing out before they get on airplanes and come to Indiana. But man, if they can pull it off, I just think it's the coolest concept.
Hey, you're from North Carolina. Given the struggles of both the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils, what is the interest level in college hoop going on in your home state right now?
Hey, all you need to know is that we did Marty and Mcgee last Saturday, as we do every Saturday morning on ESPN Radio, and we got done with the show, and we were all proud of ourselves. And on the drive home, Marty calls me, and he goes, "Dude, we completely forgot to mention Duke Carolina tonight." So that's all you need to know about where it is in the cycle. I mean, listen, some of the greatest games in the history of that series have been played when one of the two teams was bad.
Yeah.
But it's been decades since they both were unranked. And so, it's a weird time, but, I think it just kind of rolls with everything we've all been dealing with since March of last year.
It's Ryan Mcgee of ESPN.com. I want to get into the 30 for 30 with you and then this weekend down in Daytona in just a second. But you also are talking a lot at length regarding college football. And one of the things around here with the Colts, they need a quarterback. And one of the situations been tossed around, they have number 21 overall. But one of the situations tossed around as a possibility is trying to move up. And I've been told they like Justin Fields. And you're going to have to move all the way up to basically number 2 more than likely to get Justin Fields. But how deep do you think this quarterback crop in the first round goes? this season in the NFL draft?
I think it's as deep a group as we've had in a long time. And this is just listen, I haven't talked to Mel Kiper about this. I haven't talked to McGee. I haven't talked to any of my NFL guys. This is just my own personal experience over particularly the last 2 or 3 years, traveling the country, just writing quarterback stories. I've never written as many quarterback stories as I have over the last couple of years. And you just look at the guys like Justin Fields, like Jalen Hurts, who have transferred to other places and still, almost won the Heisman Trophy and were a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. So these guys are just smart. And you see that group a couple of years ago. You see Tua, and you see all these guys, Baker Mayfield, these guys that are smart. And there's just, this group is a smart group. And so I think it does run pretty deep. And there'll be a rolling of the eyes, I'm sure, about a couple of the guys that are picked because people didn't pay that much attention to them because of Trevor Lawrence and because of the quarterbacks we did pay attention to. But the reality is it's a deep, smart group, and that's good for the Colts because, I love Justin Fields. He will not be playing for the Colts unless they can pull a trick I don't think they can pull.
Yeah, and I mean, basically what you're thinking is like a Mac Jones or somebody like that, even if he is available. And then I think you also have to factor in here, Ryan, that this team feels that it wants it, certainly its owner wants it to win right now. And how many of these guys coming out in this first round will give you that opportunity to win right now?
Well, you think about the guys who are starting in the league now, and I'm talking about Tua and Jalen Hurts and these guys that, Baker Mayfield, these guys that, the guys weren't starting as rookies. Y'all are a little spoiled in Indianapolis because of the quarterbacks that you've had, over the last, 2 decades that came right out of the draft and started playing football. But the reality is that that's not very common. And over the last couple of years, it's become common because these offenses in college now are so sophisticated. You have to be so smart. And listen, all of these guys, all they ever do is work. When I'm around them in the building, Justin Fields works as hard as any player I've ever seen. And I went to college with, at Tennessee when all those guys were there. And so, to me, in this era, it's a lot easier to ask for that than it was even just 5 or 6 years ago.
So Ryan Mcgee of ESPN, ESPN.com joins us. The 30 for 30 that is going to premiere, and I can't remember a lot of the other NASCAR or racing-oriented 30 for 30s, but the one that sticks out to me is the one that they did early on about Tim Richmond, and I absolutely loved it. This is about Dale Earnhardt and his passing 20 years ago. From what you have seen, and you're a part of it as well, how does it go, and where's the specific focus on it that we're going to watch on Sunday?
Well, I've been really fortunate to work with, our feature unit in 30 for 30 and E60, which is actually what this one was going to be branded on Sunday. And those guys called me a year ago. And I was down in Daytona for the 500 as I have been for the last 20-something years. And they said, a year from now will be the 20th anniversary of Dale Earnhardt's death. Should we be doing something on this? And my response to that was yes, and we need to educate. Listen, it's been 700-plus Cup races run without Dale Earnhardt. So there's a whole generation of sports fans that don't know. We saw that with The Last Dance. That those of us of a certain age, like me, kids of the 80s, we just assumed that everybody knew how great Michael Jordan was.
Right.
But you saw when the Last Dance aired, all the millennials were like, yeah, but LeBron and Kobe. And bless their hearts, they just never saw Michael play. And it's like that with Earnhardt, an entire generation of sports fans. So we're teaching them about Earnhardt, the Intimidator and all that. But the bigger part of the story is the other Earnhardt legacy. And to me, it's maybe even more important than his racing legacy, which is the safety legacy. Because the reality is head and neck restraints already existed. They were already testing softballs out at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But until Dale Earnhardt died, until Superman died, no one was really taking it that seriously. And no driver has died in NASCAR's top 3 series since the day Dale Earnhardt died 20 years ago next week. And I think the sacrifice of Dale Earnhardt is the reason for that, because it made – listen, racers, they believe they're bulletproof, right? They believe that they're impenetrable. After Superman died, they realized they weren't. And so they had to start taking it a lot more seriously. And that's what it's really about, which is the safety legacy. of Dale Earnhardt after we lost it 20 years ago.
Yeah, and you're right about that. That part was, it's almost like, and I'm not trying to minimize the effect because it had an incredible effect on everything, but I kind of think about it. I mean, there's a time when I remember riding around without a seatbelt. Nobody ever wore a seatbelt or anything like that.
Yeah.
And now you do, and it's just second nature. And to these drivers of today, all these safety precautions brought on because of that is second nature.
Well, and listen, I'm at the Indy 500 every year. Wasn't last year because it got moved, but I'm there every year. And when I talk to the older guys, you know, and there's that old school mentality of, well, you know what, dying at the speedway is just kind of how we did it back in the day. But I talked to Mario Andretti about this, and he goes, but gosh, he goes, wouldn't I rather all those guys still be here? You know, wouldn't I rather all my old friends be here and telling stories? Bruce Springsteen had a great quote about that in his book where he said, you know, going out in a blaze of glory is overrated. You know, he goes, I like my heroes old and grizzled. And that's how I feel about race car drivers. You know, we kind of romanticize, you know, death and auto racing. And the reality is, I love talking to A.J. Foyt. Man, if he'd have died in 1965, what would we have been robbed of? And that's how I feel about Dale Earnhart. So
he wouldn't have been swarmed by killer bees like 2 or 3 times in his lifetime. Yeah,
or attacked by a lion and all that stuff, right? I mean, it's just being able to. I love talking to Richard Petty, man. Yeah. You know, so I'm so glad he's here, and so that's you know, we all miss Dale Earnhardt, and so that legacy of the lives saved to me. You know, I think when looking back after 20 years, to me, it's just as important as the Intimidator.
And that premieres at noon on Sunday. Is that accurate, Ryan?
Yep, noon Sunday, assuming that the reporter ever gets his script finally finished. But yeah, we'll. But no, it runs on Sunday and on ESPN.com this week. I've got a big 4-part series that's kind of in conjunction with that, and it's been trying, kind of going back through all that and covering the sport back then. I was young and it got depressing, but I think it's important that the story's been told.
Well, that's going to be good. That's the next 30 for 30 coming up on Sunday at noon regarding Dale Earnhardt. And it's Ryan Mcgee of ESPN, ESPN.com will play a prominent role as a part of that, joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Before I let you go, friend of the show from Mitchell, Indiana, not too far from where I grew up here, is one Chase Briscoe. What type of season is he going to have NASCAR-wise this year?
I think he got a chance to have a breakout year. And listen, when the big names of the sport, when the Tony Stewart and these guys, they decide they're going to take a chance on you, then it's you know, the pressure's on. But the real great race car drivers, they love that. So I'm excited for people to get to know him. Those of us who cover the sport closely have always known how good he is. And now I'm excited to watch people realize how good he actually is, and the next couple of years are going to tell that story.
And he has fought his way up there on talent and results too, which is impressive because he wasn't bringing much money, if any at all, behind him. He got there on talent and results.
It reminds me of Brad Keselowski. You know, Brad always says to me, he goes, he's like Indiana Jones. He's the last guy to get underneath the wall before it closed, right? Grabbed his hat, slid through there because he had no money. He just did it on talent, and that's exactly how Chase has done it.
Awesome as always. It's always a good conversation, and you and Marty every Saturday morning too, correct?
Yeah, man. Saturday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. I'll be down at Daytona, and he'll be in the Wilderness Lodge Studios, and I got a feeling that we'll be telling a lot of Dale Earnhardt stories on Saturday.
It's awesome. As always, Ryan, thank you very much, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
It's Ryan Mcgee of ESPN. He's a good dude. Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He is a good dude right there. And getting back to what I asked him about the college football question, and the quarterbacks coming out, I don't see how you can rely on that because it looks like there is such a premium on these quarterbacks. I mean, you see Lance is way up the board. And Jones, I think, is up inside 13 now. Did I see that in a mock or two, Mac Jones? Maybe I was just looking at the wrong mock.
I've seen him all over from that high to not even in the first round.
So we shall see. All right, Ryan Mcgee, podcast 1075thefan.com. Inside YouTube Live, it's called The Lounge. If you guys want to get there, you can. How many racing 30 for 30s have there been? And specifically maybe NASCAR in this case, because one of my favorites, and I just asked this question inside the lounge, what was your favorite all-time 30 for 30? Catholics versus the Convicts obviously is up there. with me. One of my favorite of all time. But, also right up there is the Tim Richmond one was awesome. Absolutely awesome. This is on Dale Earnhardt, and it premieres at noon on Sunday. Daytona coming up on Sunday. Grady, top of the hour. Brendan Quinn of The Athletic talks a little college hoop in the 4 o'clock hour. Mike Chappell regarding the latest in the saga of trying to find a quarterback here. Do that with Chappell coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Hubler Auto Group has 8 brands to choose from and thousands of vehicles in stock. Plus, all new vehicles come with a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty included. Visit drivehubler.com.
Kids, tell your parents about Form's Sprout of the Month contest where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
If you're an independent floor installer, aren't you tired of always chasing your next job and working without insurance or a retirement plan? Isn't it time for a change? Marburger Flooring has immediate openings for experienced commercial floor coverers in the Indy area. Apply today at carpenters.com. Stop worrying about job security. Start earning high wages, insurance, and a pension while working in schools, hotels, and more with Marburger. So if you're an experienced commercial floor installer ready to change your life, apply today at carpenters.com. That's carpenters.com.
Hey, it's John for Love Heating and Air. John and Chris Love with the best service this time of year, making sure you're warm and toasty in your home, and that no-cost second opinion at 317-353-2141. And if you mention my name, you'll get $125 off the most advanced air purification system that's out there. That's iWave. Right now, use my name. Love Heating and Air Conditioning, 317-353-2141. Online, love-hvac.com.
The nonstop action of tennis takes center court at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Bet Rivers serves up an exciting tennis betting experience like no other, with a massive number of live in-game betting options, including point-by-point betting. But don't just bet on the game live. Watch it live. Bet Rivers Sportsbook live streams a huge number of tour events from around the world throughout the tennis season. Try it today, and Bet Rivers will match your first deposit up to $250. It's a winner. Bet on tennis at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Go now to betrivers.com. Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-844.
Hey, it's JMV here, and it's cold outside. It is going to get even colder this weekend. And the one thing that in the past has horrified me would be the potential of frozen pipes. But I've got some peace of mind right now, and you can too, because Lance and his team at LD Smith Plumbing has my and your back. In case anything plumbing goes wrong, in case you have any sort of mishap. 317-284-9526. I got news for you. When it gets down this cold like this weekend, it's just going to happen more than likely. But you have to be prepared and trusting in those that you bring in to get the job done right, quickly, for a great price. And that's Lance and LD Smith Plumbing. 24/7, 365 at 317-284-9526. And here's an added extra for you. You mentioned my name. Say, I heard JMV talking about you. He trusts you. You give him that peace of mind. You give him a call. $50 off any service. They'll give you $50 off any service. 317-284-9526. Locally owned and the best. LD Smith Plumbing. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com today.
The Pacers' road trip continues in Detroit as they meet the Pistons. Tonight at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Let me have a Diablo sandwich, a Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, Ryan McGee's always really good. I appreciate his time. Inside the Lounge on YouTube Live. It's pretty funny. Somebody had just asked me, not in Inside the Lounge, somebody had just sent me an email asking if I would give a trial run on Popeye's Cajun Flounder. I guess everybody does that now, gives trial runs on food items on YouTube Live, on videos. Hey, this is my review of the Cajun Flounder. I don't know, is the Cajun Flounder available? Hey, JMV, great interview with Ryan Mcgee. I look forward every Saturday morning to listen to Marty and Mcgee, and glad that they're on locally. However, I also listen to Rakestraw. Yeah, Rakestraw comes on, 10 a.m.? I think. Yeah. Yeah, I like Marty and Mcgee. Rake does a great job. Chris, thank you for listening. JMV, you got to go back to the end of the 16-17 campaign to find the last time the Pacers were under 500 this far into the season. I never thought I'd end up missing Nate McMillan, but now I have a much greater appreciation for how much he was getting out of a roster that simply doesn't look very talented right now. It's Casey in Ellettsville. Didn't look very talented at all last night. JMV, please talk about the timeout that Archie called last night, up 3, giving Northwestern time to draw up a play when they had no timeouts remaining. Please, Archie has no brains at all, or as we say, Archie doesn't have them smarts real good. There's plenty of time to be getting on Archie. I'm not going to get on Archie or not going to get on the team after a win. There's no need to do that. I mean, it'll come around again. I think it's not like anything. The meter's not going to be moved on how most feel about Archie Miller by virtue of that double overtime win yesterday. But just where we are right now was certainly necessary. JMV, I know you view yourself as an incredibly smart pop culture guy, but give me the name. No, give me the film with the name of the character, Flounder. I think that's what you meant to say. Come on, dude. It's Animal House. Remember Once Upon a Time, Flounder, the actors were in town because Hollywood Bar and Film Works was downtown. This is something that was well before you. But they had something here downtown called Hollywood Bar and Film Works, and you can go in there and drink beers and eat and stuff and watch movies. Toward the tail end of their existence, which it was a great time here, they were bringing in stars, folks that were in some of these great films, and one was Animal House. They brought in Flounder. They brought in Babs. Not Mandy Pepperidge, which would have... Babs was good enough, don't get me wrong, but Mandy Pepperidge was money. And they brought in Niedermeyer. So, I mean, you can imagine, this is at Channel 13, and they came and did a segment while I did sports on Weekend Sunrise back between 2006 and 2009. And I had a long conversation with Niedermeyer, who also was the maestro in Seinfeld, and it was glorious. But see, that was back before the time. I think I had a flip phone, if I even had a flip phone then. I have no picture documentation of it. But a great conversation with Niedermeyer. I think Stephen First was the real name of the actor who played Flounder. Stephen First, who did a couple of other movies. But they brought all 3 of them in. Niedermeyer was a hell of a conversation. Mark Metcalf, I believe, is his name. But I think we ended up talking more about the maestro because I was such a big Seinfeld guy, too, than anything else. JMV at 1070thefan.com is the email address. Back to the quarterback conversation just for a moment, JMV. How do you feel about Sam Darnold if Sam Darnold ultimately is available? And I've said this, I like Sam Darnold better than I do Carson Wentz, but I don't like Sam Darnold a great deal. I mean, it's a struggle, an absolute struggle for me to like Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold and Carson Wentz are better than what they have right now. And it's not a shot at Jacob Eason. He's just not ready for prime time. And that's just not me saying that. That's also them saying that. That's it. Put Niedermeyer on it. He's a sneaky little blank just like you. Delta Tau Chi went on double secret probation. Telling you what, that is, I think the only scene that's really boring is when Donald Sutherland and Pinto and his cheating girlfriend, are smoking pot with Kroger and Kroger. That's really the only boring part. Otherwise, everything's strong right there. Mark Metcalf, excellent conversation though. It was long before I must have been really far behind in technology too, because I think I had a little Sprint flip phone, and occasionally something would pop up, and I finally realized that was somebody sending me a text. I don't even know if it had picture capability back then. Too bad. Grady, top of the hour. Grady was at that game last night where it was all Nets all the time over the Pacers. We'll talk about that. Rest of the NBA and a little bit more with Michael Grady coming up. Brendan Quinn, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour from The Athletic. Will any teams be given the option by the Big Ten, which we doubt, but might they be given the option if they're solidified in the bracket and in their seed for the NCAA tournament not to participate in the Big Ten tournament? Just kind of a thought we'll throw out there with Brendan Quinn, bottom of the hour, Mike Chappell, 5 o'clock hour, 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Mike's up next.
Yeah, I was just talking about Valentine's Day gifts. I got my wife a bowling ball last year. I'm not allowed to buy Valentine's Day gifts anymore.
What the hell were you thinking?
She don't even bowl.
What was your thought process in selecting that particular gift?
It was her favorite color, and I like to go bowling, so I figured maybe she'd want to go with me.
The Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Weekday mornings at 7.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, it's John, and let's remember this number, 888-724-5129, because we all love our options. Is there anybody out there that doesn't dig on options? And it is absolutely okay. If you're losing your hair and you're cool with it and you like the look, that is great. This is a shout for those out there that would like the option of their real growing hair again, because in the day, it was a pipe dream. In the day, somebody squirted some Elmer's on top of your head and then put a rug up there. That was it, right? Nobody wants that. But this is your real growing hair with PAI. 888-724-5129. If you want it real. If you want it continuously growing and incredibly flowing, have that conversation with Darren Andrews about it today. 888-724-5129. Multi-unit hair grafting, artist robotic FUE, laser hair therapy, PRP. It works. The technology is only getting better, too, and you will love the way that you're treated. So if you want your real growing hair back again, that's your option. 888-724-5129 or WeGrowHairAndy.com today.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the UFC, is putting you in the center of this weekend's title fight. Pick either main event fighter to win this weekend's UFC 258 bout, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 100-1 odds. That's a $1 bet on either fighter to reign victorious, and if your fighter wins, you will cash $100. There's no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code WFNI when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 on your chosen title contender to win. Place your bet and watch the fists fly this weekend. That's code WFNI to turn $1 into $100 on the main event Saturday night for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You gotta be 21 or older. Indiana only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, no matter your age, I'm 51 years old and I need a lot of help. I need some positive impact on my everyday financial situation for me and my family. If you're out there, again, no matter what age, Kevin and the gang at Forum Credit Union, they are here to help. A plan, tips, advice, financial wellness resources that we can all use because we want a much better financial situation this year than what we had in the year 2020. They're going to give you special tips. They're going to give you resources. They can talk with you, too. If you want to meet, have that private consultation with them, that's fantastic. Just give them a call and set that up today. Otherwise, you can find them on a variety of social media platforms. They are constantly giving you help side to what you can do to give a little bit of help to your financial situation right now. Believe me, I think we can all use it, right? That advice and then some from Forum Credit Union. Set up a one-on-one today, or for more info, it's really easy, online. That's forumcu.com.
That should do it with your new Anderson 400 series windows. So stylish and easy to install. I have these exact ones in my own home.
Honestly, John, we couldn't be happier.
They're perfect.
They last a long time. Don't think you'll be needing me again. So this is probably goodbye. Alex, Julie, we'll see ya.
I hate goodbyes.
Alex, John was our contractor.
Anderson 400 series are the windows contractors trust most. Learn more at andersonwindows.com. 2020 Anderson brand survey of U.S. contractors. Visit andersonwindows.com for warranty details.
Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Reinhardt Heating and Cooling. Owner Danny Reinhardt's son Kevin says one simple saying from his dad affects him every day at work.
Especially when you go out and do sales and service calls and collect money and do all this stuff that's important to a lot of people. He always said the number one thing I remember from him is just fair and honest wins every time.
You can trust Reinhardt Heating and Cooling, 317-745-4526. Reinhardt Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard dealer. Hey, it's Big Joe, and holy mackerel, it's going to be cold this weekend. Well, why don't you warm yourself up? Make it a margarita weekend with Cabo Wabo Blanco from Payless Liquors. You can get that 750-milliliter bottle for only $34.99. If you want some mixed drinks using vodka, how about Pop-Off Vodka? Only $8.99 for the 1.75-liter. And Absolute 80 Proof is only $26.99 for the 1.75. And Jim Beam White Label, only $26.99 at all Central Indiana Payless Liquor locations. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
The Butler Bulldogs have numerous Big East games in the coming weeks, and you can watch them play. Mask up and get to Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets or call 317-940-DOGS. Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Now through February 15th, get free installation on select sets of Michelin tires. Only at Big O Tires, the team you trust.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Join me tomorrow. It might be fireable. It's just going to be me, Bowen, Hammer, recapping Purdue, talking about the Pacers, but mostly giving my thoughts on a lot of stuff. Join me tomorrow.
The Ride with JMV.
You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of damn nerds.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Michael Grady on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Bet Rivers Sportsbook.
All right. Yes Network, our friend Michael Grady joins us. We're going to get into that craptacular Pacers performance last night in just a minute, though. But so, Michael, I'm doing it's not all a quiet storm or a Saturday night all slow jam love song requests, but because it's Valentine's Day, the JMV Takeover is going to have a lot of 90s slow jam influence on it. So I know you're a connoisseur of great music and slow jam tunes from that era as well. What would be your favorite? What am I playing for you coming up Saturday night?
So you can go Cupid by 112, and
yes.
My personal favorite, D'Angelo, Lady. So there are a number. I can think of some others through, but right there near the top of my list, "Lady" by D'Angelo.
Believe me, I had Karis LeVert on here, and we talked a little LSG and more when he was on here with his last name. So that works too. But yeah, we're gonna. And Mike Wells will probably call in 15 times over the course of that 6 hours coming up on Saturday night to request tunes.
For crying out loud, boy! I mean, how much Boys to Men can he play?
Ooh, that's the only thing he's gonna request. Ooh,
Hey, Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe is not romantic, Mike.
It'd be Can You Stand the Rain and and
right. That's a classic right there. Yeah, oh yeah, that's a classic.
Down on Bended Knee.
There it is.
Man, what happened to our guys at Boys to Men? They slammed for about 5 years in the 90s, and they just plummet off a cliff.
Yeah, you know what? And it wasn't an isolated incident. It wasn't a boys to men issue. It was how we look at boy bands in general.
I guess so, yeah.
Now all of a sudden we looked at dudes singing together as whack. So I mean, there was a time where brothers were singing on the corner and harmonizing and all that type of stuff. You don't see that stuff now. You don't see that stuff now. It's like, look, we can't get 5 dudes together to sing anymore.
Why can't we do that?
I don't know why we can't do that.
Some of the greatest moments of my life would be sitting down and listening to Jodeci or to H-Town or to Shy. Yeah, you talk about harmonizing with those guys from Shy, and man, they had a hit. If it wasn't 1993, those guys weren't singing it. They were done. Over.
Right. That's right. So I don't know I have no idea what on earth happened and why it all of a sudden became uncool for women too. We don't see the group female groups anymore either. But you can't do it as a group anymore. You got to be solo.
Man, I guess so. I guess you learn from it too, because normally what happened if anybody was worth their salt in a group, that they would end up going solo and leaving the other two to pick up the pieces. It probably wasn't going to work in the foreseeable future. So.
right. Now they don't even try.
Yeah, Destiny's Child is the greatest example of that. So, yeah. Anyway, hey, you were in the building for that craptacular event last night. I tell you what, you talk about a team in the Pacers that were riding a 3-game losing streak and hadn't played well against a good team, and you would thought would come out energetic against a team that kind of got, that's a Steve Nash way of ripping his team on a second of a back-to-back, and this Pacer team came out with nothing. I mean, zero energy, no juice whatsoever.
Yeah, to me, what I would highlight are the mental highs and lows of an NBA season based on who you are individually and who you are collectively as a team. And an example that I'll give is Malcolm Brogdon has had some really strong games as far as scoring is concerned. I think there's been a couple of instances this season where he has notched a career high. At the end of the day, is that who Malcolm Brogdon is, a scorer? No. Miles Turner has had stretches where he's had a strong game here or a strong game there. But is Miles Turner a scorer? No. We've seen Domantas Sabonis blossom into a all-star player in this league. And the question still is going to be consistency. So when we talk about the ebb and flow from a mental standpoint, how do you lock in to where you're trying to do something every single night? So if Malcolm's going through a rough scoring stretch and he can't put the ball in the hole, is that affecting other areas of his game? If Miles is having, again, he's not a natural scorer. He can have a game or two here or a game or two there, but that's not who he is on a regular basis. So if he's going through, and we talk about, the highs and lows, if he's going through a low where he's struggling to score, is that affecting other areas of his game? I was expecting Domantas Sabonis, given the history that I've seen with him and DeAndre Jordan, I was expecting an ass whooping last night. But last night it looked like DeAndre Jordan circled the game on his calendar.
I agree.
And Sabonis didn't. The way that DeAndre got ripped by his teammates the night before in Detroit. So I would not surprised that DeAndre played better. DeAndre was horrible against the Pistons just a couple of nights ago. And so he's already pissed off about that. And he knows that he's getting ready to compete against He-Man at home. So he had that game circled. And it just didn't look like Sabonis was ready. So for the rest of the guys out there, T.J. McCollum is one of the guys I'll give credit to. He don't care who he's playing with. He don't care where he's at. He don't care what's going on. He's just going out there. He could be playing against the Monstars, and you wouldn't know the difference. But other than that, there are other guys that, role players in general feed off of what your leaders are doing. And so if Malcolm is a little bit off and he's going through a stretch where he's not doing that well, if Miles isn't aggressive, and if Sabonis is having an off night, is everybody still locked in on defense? Is everybody still doing the dirty work, the other little things? or are you, or collectively, do you look like you're all in a rut? And that's what it looked like last night. It looked like guys were individually struggling, and it affected them collectively. And they were playing a Nets team that was really pissed off after getting creamed by the Detroit Pistons the night before.
Well, I thought the one thing that did kick in the second half, I mean, I thought some of the Nets relaxed. Kyrie Irving doesn't relax. He was ready to clown anybody and everybody. I mean, he'd been fine with that. But, I mean, the Pacers, I think some pride set in, and they were going in that first half. They were going down the path of some historic level embarrassment right there. So they came out much different in the second half they did in the first, but the concern there is just to me, and I get what you're saying. They came out. I'm not talking. No, I'm not. Inspiration's the wrong thing, but damn, can you have a little bit of energy? They had zero energy. They were as flat as a damn pancake at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and this is my observation from the mental side of it. So sometimes if you're mentally off, that energy isn't there. You know, if we do a radio show and we're dealing with things in our lives and mentally, like, we're a little bit off, like, it's hard to just manufacture that energy. Like, dang, I had this rough day, I had this rough whatever. It's just these guys are human still at the same time. So if Malcolm is having a rough stretch mentally and, like, getting a shot or whatever it may be or whatever, like, that's going to affect other areas. At halftime, you get slapped upside your head and say, hey, guys, this isn't rocket science. And the message is preached in the locker room is exactly what you just said, John. Who cares if you go out and hit somebody? Go dive on the floor for those 50-50 balls. Do all the dirty work. Get out of your heads. So being stuck in your head is something that happens. And it can feel inexplicable and all those type of things, right? But the challenge is to get out of your heads when you're having these rough moments and trying to figure things out. And this guy's confidence isn't where it needs to be. That guy's confidence isn't where it needs to be. So the message is, if you're doing all the dirt, okay, who cares if your jump shot's not falling? This is something that Brad Stevens teaches his guys all the time. Who cares if your shot's not falling? Eventually it's going to fall. It better not affect your defense, though. Who cares if the shot's not falling? It better not affect your hustle. Who cares? Shots will eventually fall. So that's highlighting your point, you know what I mean? If your shot's not falling, whatever, you got to block that stuff out. But remembering that is a challenge on a game-to-game basis sometimes. It is a challenge on a game-to-game basis at times. And sometimes that wake-up call may hit you at the end of the first quarter. For the Pacers, it hit them at halftime for sure. And folks can say, well, the Nets took their foot off the gas. No, the Pacers were playing better basketball, and the Nets were kind of, the Nets had been some of the struggles that we have seen lately from the Nets. The Pacers started to highlight and take advantage of, which is something that they should have done at the beginning of the game. But it's going to happen again, and it's happened with this Nets team plenty of times. And so I've seen it firsthand, and it's just one of those things where, you shake your head and you say, all right, guys, we can't let this happen again. But I guarantee you it will, because it's human nature.
So Michael Grady on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. A lot of people have suggested, hey, and I have too, to a degree, keep your head above water here until you get some guys back, and T.J. Warren and hopefully Karis LeVert. Are those two guys, how big of difference makers do you expect these guys to be once at whatever point in the season they are healthy and eligible to return?
The main thing, again, is what you said and what we were just talking about, is the compete level has to be at a certain height, night in and night out. That's number one. The hustle level has to be at this point. The effort on defense has to be at this point. That is the foundation. And before I get into those guys, I'm going to use another example that Steve Nash said, because people have been talking a lot about the Nets defense and, well, what changes are you going to do? How are you going to adjust this or going to adjust that? And Steve Nash has said, sometimes we want a solution rather than a fight. And sometimes the point is just to go out there and fight. That's it. So when these guys come back, when T.J. Warren comes back, when Karis LeVert is eligible to play once again, if the Pacers' compete level isn't at a certain level, they're still going to have issues. If their commitment on defense, if the connectivity, if all those things is not where it needs to be, they're still going to have issues, whether T.J. Warren and Karras in the lineup or not. What it does provide them is a little bit more balance, to where if Sabonis is having a rough night and there's extra pressure on Malcolm Brogdon or Miles Turner and they can't get it done, well, now you have additional pieces on the pie to where T.J. Warren could potentially get, or Caris LeVert could potentially get hot. The thing that Karras provides is something that's very similar to Victor Oladipo, in that with Malcolm Brogdon, if he's being defended one-on-one, I don't have a ton of faith that he's going to turn into Kyrie Irving and just go nuts on somebody. You know what I mean? He's a solid guy from the perimeter if he gets a good look. You know, in some one-on-one situations, he can make it happen, but that's not necessarily his bread and butter. Miles Turner, certainly not an ISO guy. Sabonis, you know, as the game wears on, people start crowding the paint, you know, it becomes a little bit more difficult for big men. We've seen it with Joel Embiid. We've seen it with Nikola Jokic. So big men can have a tendency to get bottled up too. What you have in Caris LeVert is a guy who's so shifty, so quick, so aggressive in getting to his spots on the floor that he can still get good looks. He gives opposing defenders headaches to the point where you may have to double team him. And if he gets double teamed and it's quick boom, extra pass, then somebody like a McDermott, a Malcolm Brogdon, or another shooter on the floor like a Justin Holiday is getting a high quality look. Or this is what I remember this. Pick and roll, Caris LeVert lobs to a Sabonis or a Miles Turner for a dunk. You're going to see it a lot. He did it a ton with Jared Allen. He did it a ton with DeAndre Jordan. So when you try to crowd and try to take away a Caris LeVert, he's still either going to create for himself or others. And that's what will be added to the equation, because that's what he naturally does. Malcolm's not a natural scorer that way. Miles isn't a natural scorer that way. Sabonis isn't a natural scorer that way. But when Caris comes back, that's what the hell he does. And T.J. Warren is another guy that when he heats up, again, I don't like him in ISO situations, but if he can get going and he gets red hot, he's just going to be very hard, you know, to contend with as well. So you have two more scoring options, two guys who are natural scorers being added to the equation. But to go back to what I said at the beginning, Caris is still going to have an off night. TJ is still going to have an off night. But are you defending? Are you hustling? That's the real key.
I think when you ask about defending, though, it just they on the perimeter, they can't stay in front of anybody. And it's weird because going into last night, they were 6th ranked defensively in the NBA, but that is so misleading because they can't stay in front of anybody on the perimeter, and then they are close to dead last, or at least in the bottom 5 in the NBA in defending the 3, which gets you buried in a big hurry.
It really does, and it's funny the parallels because again, I'm seeing what I'm seeing with Indiana. I'm also seeing with the Nets to a certain degree. Before last night's game, the Nets had given up 120 points in 7 straight games, so their defense had been atrocious, and it really does start on the perimeter. People highlighted the fact that they lost Jared Allen, and that's causing the Nets all these problems with their defense. Well, yeah, DeAndre Jordan hasn't been good on the interior. But if you have this whole Olay type defense on the perimeter,
yes, they do.
Well, then, so people talk so much about the bigs and what they may not be doing. But you're right. If you're not solid on the perimeter and locked in on the perimeter, then you're going to have issues. And so, that's a big issue. And this may seem like wishful thinking. Obviously, when you get more hands on deck, and Caris LeVert is a capable perimeter defender. But and I think Malcolm Brogdon highlighted this too. You can't let issues on the offensive side of the ball affect what you do defensively. And inevitably, we see it, whether it's a pickup game, John, or whether it's a college game or an NBA game. You knock down a couple of shots, all of a sudden you slapping the floor, you clapping on D, you like a little extra bounce in your step or whatever it may be.
Yep.
And this is another human nature element that professional players have to fight on a regular basis too, and not letting any struggles on the offensive side affect what you do defensively. So I'm not, certainly when you have more hands on deck, it'll be better. but they have to find a way to dig deep and lock in. And this goes to the coaches too, from a strategic standpoint and what they're doing defensively and how can we put these guys in the best position to succeed. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to put a lot of pressure on those players to dig a little bit deeper because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about defensively is doable. You just got to do it.
So Michael Grady of the Yes Network on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You will be happy to hear that I have tagged tonight's second of a back-to-back for the Pacers in Detroit as a must-win situation for them. I guess more so than anything else, a must-win because if you lose, it's going to be incredibly embarrassing, and tomorrow will be brutal right here. So maybe that's why.
Yeah. So I'm curious what we're going to see from Detroit. The Nets are a team to where when you face them, it's easy to circle that game on the calendar and go, all right, I'm getting ready to face Kevin, Kyrie, and James. Let's go, right? And Detroit came out crazy a few nights ago. So what's today? Thursday. This was Tuesday night. So Tuesday night, Jeremy Grant, all those guys. I mean, they went bananas. But Detroit typically is garbage. So I appreciate the fact that you're not shy to, you don't shy away from must wins and throwing that out there.
I don't. I'm Mr. Must Win around here.
No, it's not. It's not the end of the world if they fall short. From a confidence standpoint, once you get going, it doesn't matter if it's toward the end of the season. It doesn't matter whatever. Once you get going, that's really all that matters. If you're going through a tough stretch where your confidence isn't there, you could lose to the Detroit Pistons. You could absolutely lose. But if they pick things up and all of a sudden in Atlanta they win that game, and then Chicago they win that game, then they go to Minnesota and that's a beatable team, you win that game. Then you have the Victor Oladipo reunion against the Houston Rockets. So even if you lose, if something sparks them and becomes a catalyst for a confident run, that's all that matters at the end of the day. The question is, when is that run coming? And these are all winnable games on the horizon. So the next really tough game that I look at on the schedule will be against Boston, and Boston's hovering around 500. So there's opportunity. Nobody's running away from anybody in the Eastern Conference. So from a net standpoint, look, I don't know what type of Detroit team you're going to see tonight. I know that Detroit got up for Brooklyn, but Detroit typically has been garbage, one of the worst shooting teams in the NBA. And Jeremy Grant is going to be a handful for sure because he's been playing extremely well, this season. But the other guys, you should be able to lock up the other guys on that roster, Blake Griffin included. So I think it'll be a fascinating game. I'm going to be watching, but the key is finding that confidence again, so that Malcolm's out there competing at a high level. Miles is confident in his shot, and Sabonis doesn't look like the Sabonis we saw last night for that early stretch that we saw in the game.
It's Michael Grady with us, as always, very good and also inspirational here because now I'm going to have to look up why have all the boy bands, dude bands of the 90s completely disappeared? And why do we not have them any longer? That is so true. Where are they gone? Where are they? Where's Silk? Where's Guy, Blackstreak, H-Town, High Five?
Yeah, Silk was like 7 dudes.
Come on, man. Jagged Edge, Mint Condition, next. We know what happened to R. Kelly in public announcement, but he may be the only one. That's it. Man,
today it happened.
I don't see. I'm not. Are there any bands like that today? Any groups like that today that I'm just completely unaware of because I'm an old fart?
Somebody's going to tell you. The only thing that I know that I'm like, and not that I listen to or anything like that, but only time I see like a group together is like some K-pop stuff, and then I see about 16 kids together. But that's the only thing that I don't know if there's any like groups anymore, male or female. Am I spacing on somebody?
You'll have to help me out a little bit on that because maybe I'm not. But I can't think of one that immediately comes to mind. I mean, listen, I just rolled through off the top of my head about 10 of them from the 90s We can't even come up with one right now.
Not a single one. I like a few years, like I say a few years ago. No, this may have been over a decade ago. Who was it? Genuine.
Yeah.
Tank and Tyrese did something together. They may have even come out with an album or at least a few songs, but that may have been a decade ago.
I think you're right.
Of a single group right now. Well,
yeah, I mean,
I'm
Troop.
I'm gonna check your mentions. I'm gonna check your mentions. If anybody like tweets me too, or who we're forgetting, like I'm actually very curious too. So.
I did not.
I can't think of anybody.
I guess I hadn't realized just how extinct that facet of music is that we grew up with right there. Mike, no wonder Mike Wells grasped onto this as hard as he does, man. I get it now because it's no longer out there.
Super nostalgia. Now it's one dude, and he may sing three. He sings the ad libs too. He don't need nobody.
You ought to see this. I'm gonna tell you what. He sing every Friday. I play one for him. He identifies it and he sings it. It's classic right there. But the talk up when you get Mike Wells to do the talk up walk up, that's famous for the 90s right there. It's beautiful. I mean, when you start out, Tom baby, it's they start talking like this, and then they get into it. Mike Wells is at his genius finest when that's going on. It's great.
That's all. I know he loves it.
The talk up, walk up, right there.
He loves it, brother. Yes, indeed.
Hey, thanks as always, my friend. You have a great weekend. We'll do it again soon. Thanks, Michael.
You got it. Take care, John.
Michael Grady right there, the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What has happened to him? That's a great point. That is a great point. I mean, I love Jodeci and Shy and Blackstreet and Silk and H-Town. I know what happened to R. Kelly in public announcement. Next, Mint Condition, Jagged Edge, High Five, Guy. Now, Teddy Riley was a part of Guy and a part of Blackstreet and a part of Rex and Effect. All for One. How about the guys from here after 7? Good point right there. Quick break, and we shall return. Brendan Quinn, bottom of the hour. We'll talk some college basketball with Brendan Quinn of The Athletic. And, what if teams were given the option to opt out? Well, all teams want to play in the Big Ten tournament if they have a position in the bracketology and the seeding solidified. Brendan will talk to us about that coming up. Mike Chappell will dive into the Colts and the NFL and some of the latest stuff that's floating around out there coming up next. 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Jason Hammer here for Indy's hometown sportsbook, Bet Rivers, BetRivers.com. With football season in the rearview mirror now, it's full speed ahead on basketball, college hoops, the NBA, and for you puck heads, I said puck, you've got hockey. We've got racing right around the corner. The options are limitless, and the profit boosts make sure you win the most money possible. This is why I dig Bet Rivers. Sign up today. Must be 21 and over, a resident of Indiana, and if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
It was still wiggling on the plate, and I swear it looked up.
When you don't need to hear about Jason from Accounting's Dinner.
The little black curly hair on the edge of the plate.
Google Encore Sound.
Okay, love you.
Love you too, Pudge Muffin.
When your personal calls need to stay personal.
After you finish that spreadsheet, I need these reports filed. Pudge Muffin.
Google Encore Sound. When silence becomes a distraction, Google Lencore Sound.
Like the station, Lencore is a subsidiary of MS Communications.
Hey, John here with your options. Real Hair Growth, PAI, 888-724-5129. It's WeGrowHairIndy.com. From multi-unit hair grafting to artist robotic FUE, laser hair therapy. They'll give you PRP treatments as well. It does work, and it is hair growth that's sustainable. I mean, it doesn't go away. It just keeps on going, too. If you want your hair again, and if you want the regrowth, you have options out there. Just thinking about it. Get that private consultation with Darren Andrews, 888-724-5129, and then have them go to work for you. It works. If you want your real growing hair again, it's PAI, 888-724-5129, WeGrowHairIndy.com today.
Hi, I'm Rick Edelman, and I have a feeling that retirement is on your mind. You're wondering if you've saved enough or whether your money is in the right places. You're wondering when will you be able to retire or will you be able to stay retired? And is your money sufficient so you can live in comfort and financial security for the rest of your life? You're wondering all this, but you really don't have to just wonder. You can resolve all these questions in your effort to enjoy a retirement that's everything you want it to be. And we can help. At Edelman Financial Engines, our clients are predominantly concerned about retirement, your financial security for your spouse, for your aging parents, for your children. And we can help you just like we've helped thousands of folks just like you for more than 30 years. So call us at Edelman Financial Engines at 888-PLAN-RIC. That's 888-PLAN-RIC. Or visit us at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com. And don't wonder about your retirement because we're here to help you.
Small business owners, is your internet making office tasks painfully slow? Are your file upload speeds sluggish? Are your video calls choppy? You need more speed. AT&T Business Fiber gives you up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. Faster upload speeds mean smoother, less glitchy video conferencing and faster file transfers. Visit att.com/businessfast or call 844-661-FAST to get our best price on our best service. Imagine it, up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. AT&T experts can help you upgrade to AT&T Business Fiber. Soon, you're going to love your internet. Call 844-661-FAST now. Comparison by Telogical Systems, 12-2020.
If you're feeling a little pressure to find the perfect gift to show someone what they mean to you this Valentine's Day, Cynthia's Hallmark is the place for you. It's Terry Stacy, and Cynthia's Hallmark is the largest Hallmark store in the country, and all 4 stores are Cupid ready. Ronaldo designer jewelry is a beautiful gift. So many love-inspired bracelets to choose from. $53 and up, but mention my name and receive $20 off any Ronaldo purchase of $100 or more. If you want to spend a little less on jewelry, the Dimdeco Moon and Stars bracelet and heart-giving bracelets are really popular because they have beautiful charms that tell her how much you love her for just $24.99. Speaking of Dimdeco, the Giving Bear, perfect gift for any age. Mention my name, Terry, and Cynthia's will take $10 off. Plenty of sweet treats, including South Bend chocolates, classic Cupid Crunch, Valentine pretzels, and heart-filled boxes. Fannie Mae chocolates, too, at Cynthia's Hallmark on 116th and Allisonville Road, 116th and Brook School Road, 96th and Lantern Road in Fishers, and in Greenfield, where it all started.
The Ride with JMV.
Just an average guy with exceptional hair.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, Mike Chappell, top of the hour. Here's what has been tweeted. The alleged Colts offer and their level of interest for Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. The alleged offer from Chris Ballard and the Colts, 2 second-round draft picks, maybe a third or a fourth round pick down the road. So 2 second-round draft picks, maybe a third or a fourth round pick down the road. That is allegedly, reportedly, the leaked offer that the Colts have made for Carson Wentz. We'll dive back into that top of the hour. Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, covers the Big Ten, covers Sparty, covers the Wolverines, and more for the Athletic. Brendan Quinn joins us now. Hello, Brendan. How are you?
Hey, well, I'm also from Philadelphia, and I'm more interested in this Wentz news than anything we're about to talk about.
I mean, you may be following it a little bit more closely than most right now, but yeah, that's the alleged reported offer that the Colts had initially made for Carson Wentz, which I think by the standards of what we heard, what the going rate might be going at this point for Carson Wentz is probably not in their ballpark of expectation right now.
Yeah, I mean, he was arguably the worst quarterback in the league last year, but the way the Eagles operate, there are some egos in that room, and if they feel like they're not getting the best out of a trade, I don't know if they move him for less than a first-round pick. Well, but they have to move him now. Their hands are tied. So, interesting.
Yeah, they do. They do. And, you know that you got teams out there like the Colts, even though Chris Ballard that runs the team here doesn't feel as if they're going to deal in desperation. You have to look inside that quarterback room, and you don't see anybody right now other than Jacob Eason, who hasn't played at any level in the NFL yet. So, I mean, maybe there's a little desperation there. Maybe there is not, but certainly the interest is there. And I think most people that are pro Carson Wentz around here, Brendan, seem to think that Frank Reich, because of that connection in the past, could fix him up.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense on paper, and he has proven it, which is a lot more than a lot of other guys can say, and probably certainly more than the Colts could roll their dice for. Where they have the 22nd pick in the first round?
Number 21 overall, yep.
21. So you figure, a shot at Wentz is better than anything you probably get at 21 if you're trying to make the playoffs next year, but I'm pretty sure that's not why you're having me on.
Yeah, well, maybe some other time. I do want to start here because Michigan's going to refire up the Hoops program on Sunday. What's your expectation that Juwan Howard's team looks like, considering how good they looked right up until the shutdown?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I've talked to a number of coaches across the country who I know who have dealt with the long shutdowns and things like that. And the only consensus that I've heard is that when it comes to your guys on the court, right, physically running, getting their wind, all that, you're not as much concerned about the first game as you are the second game. The second game, I've been told, is when you see guys, they just lose their legs in the second half, or, they just physically, the 2 weeks away kind of take their toll. What you're more concerned about in the first game is, running good offense and making shots. So, Wisconsin has really struggled shooting threes for much of the Big Ten slate this year. And, I wonder if there's going to be just bricks being thrown up left and right. Certainly possible, but I don't know. It's so hard to see. I think the best thing Michigan has going for it is it is an old group. There are 22, 23-year-old guys on this team. There's seniors all over the place. Even a guy like Franz Wagner, who's a sophomore, he played pro ball overseas. Like, he's a guy who takes a very business-like approach to things. So, I don't think these guys were checking out mentally the last 2 weeks. I think they will come in with a level of focus when it comes to kind of this return.
What was the protocol of trying to keep them together as much as possible? And I don't mean together as in the same room or anything, but together mentally and as much physically as possible.
Yeah, so the thing you have to realize about Michigan's situation is it was as severe as anything that we've seen in the country in terms of isolation, in terms of every single person in the program being kept separate. When other programs have shut down, you've still seen small group workouts and things like that amongst some people. For Michigan, it's been nothing. They've been relegated to their rooms they were relegated to their rooms for over 2 weeks. The extent of their work was Zoom videos sent out by the athletic trainer for workouts and stuff. And that was it. Unless they were putting up shots on baskets in the snow, they were not getting up shots anywhere that we know of. There was no real film study. They weren't allowed in any university facilities other than for testing. So, yeah, they didn't do anything. And that is different than what you've seen from other places.
Man.
And the cause of that, for anyone that hasn't followed, is that the UK variant of COVID-19 was detected within the Michigan Athletic Department and within Washtenaw County, where U of M is located. And the State Department of Health just basically put the shutdown on everything out of fear of any significant spread.
That's incredible. I mean, that whole story is absolutely incredible. Brendan Quinn of The Athletic.
They don't teach you this when you become a sports writer. I didn't know I needed to know any of this.
Yeah, I mean, more and more, you have to have a law degree and some kind of medical certificate. You have to have all that now. And, it's where we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brendan, I want to ask you this, too, they're currently 8-1 overall. I'm sorry, 13-1 overall, 8-1 in the Big Ten. So how many games do you think they're going to ultimately get made up? What's the plan here?
My guess would be they finish up in the area of 17 to 18 games.
Right.
They have 5 outstanding games that have been postponed. This weekend's game against Wisconsin, if they were to actually play a full schedule of 20 games, it would entail 11 games in 22 days. Forget the fact that it's probably unhealthy to ask these guys to do that. Logistically, right, making it work that all the dominoes could fall in order in terms of facilities being available, in terms of other team schedules fitting it, in terms of TV availability and windows, in terms of all these things, I think it's probably impossible. So I would guess, Michigan probably finishes with 18 games. I would guess Nebraska probably finishes in that same neighborhood as well.
It's going to be quite the barnstorming basketball tour that they're going to put on regardless of how many games they get in here.
Yeah, and, talking with some Big Ten officials last week for a story, you're going to see some things that we've never seen before in terms of probably back-to-backs being played, whether at same site or, a situation like with Michigan and Michigan State, they're an hour away from each other. They're already playing on March 7th on the last game of the year. Well, that game's in Lansing. Why not play in Ann Arbor on March 6th, right? You go back-to-back games. Both coaching staffs don't have to worry about scouting for two teams, right? It's one scout, 2 games, 24 hours, rivalry to end the season. It would be pretty cool, actually. But you're going to see stuff like that. You're going to see back-to-backs. You're going to see 2 games in 3 days as long as teams can agree to it.
So Brendan Quinn of The Athletic covers college basketball, Big Ten college basketball, and certainly both Michigan and Michigan State up in the state of Michigan on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Will the Wolverines want to play in the Big Ten tournament now that's been rescheduled here in Indy? Will they want to participate, in your opinion?
I mean, based on the conversations I've had with the league, there is very little consideration being given to the talk of teams potentially opting out. I think by putting it in Indy and saying, okay, if you go, you can just lock down right through the NCAA tournament. Teams are going to go with it. At this point, I mean, as of last week, before the conversations I had, I thought it was a much more plausible scenario of seeing some teams opt out. But the league is confident that that's not really even on the table. Who knows? That could just be lip service. Personally, if I'm a team like Michigan, right, where they've got seniors all over the place, they've got a guy like Franz Wagner who's probably going to turn pro. You get one shot with this group. I'd have a hard time risking a Final Four to go play in a league tournament.
So, will they revisit this? And I mean the Big Ten. I mean, would you consider, because I know you have an article on this too that people should read, but would you consider the Big Ten at some point giving the option of an opt-out for the reason or a reason just like you described?
I think the much more likely scenario would be teams come up with reasons to not go. And, you can certainly, without faking anything, you can certainly say out of an abundance of caution within the program and potential exposure, we are opting not to go and frame it in that way. Is the league going to present a situation? I highly doubt that. I think the only way that the league is envisioning the tournament being impacted is if any teams have to opt out and for legitimate COVID reasons. And the only chance that I hear some people still wondering if this whole thing could be canceled. The only way that this thing is canceled is if, 6, 7, 8 teams or something like that, something crazy, all opt out with legitimate COVID reasons. They're not just going to cancel it for the sake of canceling it. That's not happening. Yeah,
it's funny, too. You bring up Michigan, and I brought up just any team in general where you feel as if, because it's pretty easy to hard target where you're going to be seating-wise any longer in the NCAA tournament. I mean, any of these teams that feel that they're at the ceiling of where they're going to be seated, why would you risk it? Would you not think that other teams would have a similar thought as to what you brought up with possibly the Wolverines in mind?
Yeah, and I think some of it has to kind of comes through the lens of what your team's experiences have been this year.
Sure.
A team like Purdue has basically already had its significant COVID issues, right? Michigan State, same thing. There are others. A team like Michigan has not had a positive COVID test within its program since the summer. So, if one guy tests positive in that program, there is, the ultimate fear is, right, a team-wide break and you're done. If there's an outbreak within the Michigan program in March, they're done. It's not a scenario where everyone's had it and you have herd immunity for what we know of that. Some teams have it, some teams don't. So let's put it this way, right? Michigan State and Nebraska played the other night in East Lansing. Joey Hauser doesn't feel well in the first half and is removed from the game. Officials from both programs speak. They decide, okay, well, we've gone this far along. We're going to finish this game. Well, Nebraska, everyone in the programs had COVID. Michigan State, pretty much everyone in the programs had COVID. If that scenario had played out with another team, certainly Michigan, that other team probably has to walk in the middle of the game, right? So everyone has their own unique situations where there's nothing that's cookie cutter that you can kind of say is applicable across the board.
I guess I'll ask in closing for your opinion here. Do you think that every Big Ten team ultimately ends up playing in the Big Ten tournament here?
If I had to bet, I would say yes. I think every team's going to Indy. Now, the bigger the wild card for me personally is if a team like legitimately has a COVID situation,
right,
where it can't go. Any scenario outside of that, I don't see happening. So anyone that can go will go. Will be my opinion at the end of the day.
I can't imagine being a college kid, much less a high-level basketball playing college kid, and be holed up for basically the last month in a room in preparation to restart a season like that. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, if you go from the Big Ten championship and go straight through the Final Four, I think we'd be in that hotel for like 28 days or something like that, which is insane. But, on these campuses at the same time, these guys are basically holed up in their apartments anyway. It's not like there's anything to do. But, at the end of the day, all of this has been done for, in terms of the athletes, you get a chance to play for a championship, and that's great for them. Obviously, in reality, all of this is being done for money, but that's a whole other conversation.
Well, and for them, I mean, they want to play. I mean, you're there to play basketball.
They do.
So
These are guys with professional aspirations who want to win and play basketball games. Like, that's a fact. Should it still be going on? Again, that's a different conversation.
That's incredible right there. Well, and by the way, you have a story about this, correct, that is up on The Athletic right now?
Yeah, actually, I was able to get the league to kind of go on the record with things that they're talking about in terms of how conference standings are going to be handled in the event of imbalanced schedules, which looks very likely. Had conversations about how rescheduling is handled in terms of priorities, right? A team like Michigan has 5 games to reschedule. Well, if you're not going to play all 5, how do you decide which 3 or 4 actually get played, right? So we went through all of these different scenarios, and that story's available on The Athletic.
Hey, how's the COVID situation, much less in the state of Michigan, but in that general area where you are right now? How are things going there?
Yeah, I live down in the Ann Arbor area. The state has just recently reopened restaurants at 50%. The numbers are really trending down across the state. So it's been great news, and people are mostly for in large part, taking care of business and being responsible. So the numbers are definitely going down. People are feeling good, and hopefully by the time the winter breaks, the vaccine numbers are up, the COVID numbers are down, and the golf courses are open. Let's go.
That's really good stuff, man. We'll keep you in mind too, because that was really good stuff, and I appreciate a little background, because, I mean, we sit here and go, hey, here comes basketball, and it's all coming, and haven't really thought about what else is going on that we don't see when we get to tune in and watch basketball. So it's
no doubt
interesting stuff. Brendan, thank you.
Thank you.
It's Brendan Quinn of The Athletic on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, and that was a whole lot of stuff right there. That's pretty good. All right, top of the hour. Mike Chappell, CBS 4 and Fox 59. Would you guys do this for Carson Wentz? Reportedly, the elite Colts offer 2 second-round draft picks, maybe a third or a fourth-round pick down the road. Would you guys do that right now for Carson Wentz if the Eagles accepted it? Would you do that, Kyle?
2 first,
2 second-round
or 2 second-round picks.
So that means,
if I could,
and we talked about this during the break, that means if this is true, what it sounds like is that Ballard is protecting 21 maybe for a left tackle. That's
if
what
you
it
have
sounds
a
like.
deep board at left tackle, I think the play is I would trade 2 second-round picks for Wentz. I would trade down from 21 to the end of the first round, try to pick up a second-rounder for a future year, kind of like what they did when they traded with Washington, and they were able to draft Pittman with that pick and pick up a second-round pick. So effectively, you're moving down from 21 to, say, 30. You're still getting a left tackle that you like, and you're trading 2 second-round picks for Wentz. I think I'd do that.
In this case, the leaked offer from the Colts reportedly here is 2 second-round draft picks and maybe a third or a fourth round down the road. You guys do that for Carson Wentz? Get back to that. Your calls coming up at 239-1070 on the other side. Mike Chappell, top of the hour, inside the lounge on YouTube Live. If you want to get in there and have some conversations with everybody, you can certainly do that because they are playing off of what I asked a moment ago right now. Inside the lounge on YouTube Live with 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Kids, tell your parents about Forum Sprout of the Month contest where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
Lover's Lane presents the do's and don'ts for this Valentine's Day. Do make your loved one feel special. Don't forget, Valentine's is the 14th. Don't feel sad if you don't have a date. Do something special for you. Don't be boring. Be adventurous, romantic, playful. Valentine's Day at Lover's Lane is always new, always exciting. This Valentine's Day, don't just gift. Give the best gift ever. Find a store near you at loverslane.com.
Hey, it's John for Forum Credit Union. You guys ready to go with all the advice that you need for your financial well-being? Kevin and the gang at Forum Credit Union, they are there to help every financial situation, no matter what age. If you're talking about a lot of things like building an emergency fund, tracking your monthly spending, this and then some with Forum Credit Union. Now, they have certain layers of we can find information, for example, and there's certain layers and platforms, social media-wise, of really everything, too. Financial wellness, resources, tips, advice. You can check those out, again, on their various levels of social media. Also, you can sign up to meet with somebody about your financial wellness. All that and more can be found right now. It's a great heads up for you financially. forumcu.com today.
Hello, you. I'm your worst phobia. I am water. I'm like a spider skittering through your hair, a fat worm burrowing down into your ear. I am water. Soppy, soggy, mold-causing water. Seeping through your basement wall, lurking in your pipes, your toilet. Itching to leak, drip, burst. I've been called uninvited. I'm just a little water. Can't we be friends? How about a long, wet kiss?
Hey, life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Water, storms, fire, and foundations.
Make it Michaelis.
844-FIX-IN.
Hey, we're getting closer to Valentine's Day. That's coming up on Sunday. And if you want to take a home run cut and connect on a great gift-giving idea for your significant other, it's Diamonds Direct. Right now, through this weekend, 5 years, 0 interest on everything. That is 5 years, 0 interest on everything in the store. And it is a beautiful thing. Now, as a part of the big Valentine's celebration, this entire weekend, right, Diamonds Direct is featuring world-renowned designer Simon G. You can see an expanded selection of the Simon G creations, including some of the new items never seen before that would be perfect for Valentine's Day. And even more perfect, the price tag, right? The warranties, the guarantees, and 5 years, 0 interest. This is going to make you a hero, maybe for the first time on Valentine's Day with my friends from Diamonds Direct. 5 years, 0 interest, open now through Sunday, noon to 5, by the way, on Sunday on Valentine's Day. And happy Valentine's Day from Diamonds Direct. That's Diamonds Direct, Keystone at the Crossing.
I was talking to my friend Larry Howald. He owns Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing in Broad Ripple. He loves cold weather. I mean, really, really cold. The furnace is keeping the house cozy. He loves it. He gave me a few tips on how to keep your furnace safe. First one, easy. Keep your furnace filter clean. If your furnace is on the fritz, check the door. Make sure it's closed and the safety switch engaged. Make sure the thermostat is on and the batteries are charged. Larry Howald can be reached 24/7, 317-255-HEAT, or go to howaldheatingandair.com.
Hey, ProFlowers.com, an FTD company, is giving you this opportunity right now. Let me get into this a little bit, too, because I really am thankful that they decided to jump on the show and partner with me before Valentine's Day, because I have been miserable at doing the right thing prior to Valentine's Day. And with ProFlowers.com, an FTD company, they make it easy. I mean easy, which is exactly what you need. I mean, a bouquet, an arrangement of flowers that are spectacular that she will love, courtesy of ProFlowers.com, an FTD company. I'm telling you, whoever it is in your life on Valentine's Day that you really want to hit up with something really special like this, no matter who we're talking about, this is it. And, other flowers, they don't compare to what you get from ProFlowers.com right here. And if you mention my name and a promo code, that's JMV, and a promo code, ProFlowers.com, they're going to give you 20% off your next purchase. So just in time for Valentine's Day, you can make this deal and get 20% off of it. Again, that's ProFlowers.com, promo code JMV. Get 20% off right now at ProFlowers.com. Promo code JMV, just in time for Valentine's Day.
You could be saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month with a simple refinance. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
The Butler Bulldogs head to D.C. to take on the Georgetown Hoyas. Saturday at 1 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
You take drugs, Danny? Every day. Good. So what's the problem? I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Brendan Quinn, thank you very much, man. The Athletic was a really good conversation with Brendan. Michael Grady a little bit earlier, too. Ryan Mcgee of ESPN. The Dale Earnhardt 30 for 30 premieres coming up at noon on Sunday. And Ryan McGee and Marty Smith have an ESPN Radio Saturday morning show that you guys can check out here locally as well. Ryan joined us back in the 3 o'clock hour. Podcast up for each. Brendan Quinn, just now from The Athletic, was really good regarding Michigan's situation. Coming back from the shutdown, that's on Sunday against Wisconsin. It's an amazing situation. The way they're going to try to make up games. And then he has an article written, it's well written, about whether or not some of these Big Ten teams will want to opt out of the Big Ten tournament being held here in March, or if they're going to be given the opportunity, given the option. Now, I asked him at the end of the conversation if he felt sitting here right now if anybody would opt out, and he said no. But it is a very interesting conversation to have nonetheless. All right, coming up next, Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. It is supposedly the leaked Colts offer for Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. 2 second-round draft picks, maybe a third or a fourth pick down the road. All right, if that is true, and that's what we have to go on right here, would you, the Colts fan, be okay with that? 2 second-round draft picks, a third or a fourth, which means you still secure number 21 overall coming up this year. Would you be okay with that for Carson Wentz? We'll continue that conversation. Mike Chappell's going to join us next. This is 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
A lot of talk about Andrew Luck. How did the meeting go between Luck and Irsay?
What they did not have is a loaded question. There was no meeting. I mean, that's great. Andrew's retired. He's been retired.
If you're talking about it,
he's going to still be retired.
You guys reach out to him?
We talk.
We're talking about it.
I mean, I talked to Andrew. I mean, I figure if Andrew wanted to play, he would just say, hey, you know what, Chris? I think I want to play football again. Oh, God, here goes the next Twitter. Twitter mob will be on this one, man.
Your home for Indy Sports. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, 317-353-2141. Keep this in mind because we are going into some really cold polar vortex territory this weekend. And keep this in mind, because if you get in a situation where, A, you don't think your heating unit's doing what it should, or B, if something really does critically go wrong, that's the number for the best. Love Heating and Air, 317-353-2141. That is John and Chris Love. You know, I mention all the time that peace of mind you get in critical situations when things go wrong, but you know that you're working with folks that will get it done right, will get it done quickly, and get it done for a great price. That's your peace of mind. That is worth so much. Plus, you're getting the best. 317-353-2141. Love Heating and Air. If you need them, if something goes wrong, or if you think your system's just not doing the job correctly. Also, they partnered up with iWave, state-of-the-art air purification system. Right now, you mention my name to John and Chris Love. They'll give you $125 off the purchase price of the iWave air purification system. $125 off. Just mention my name, JMV, to Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141 online. That is love-hvac.com today.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Now through February 15th, get free installation on select sets of Michelin tires. Only at Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Place your legal sports bets at BetRivers.com, your new home for sports betting. Millions of betting options a year on the sports you love. We offer live in-game betting on major sporting events worldwide. Tons of bets available during games, from money lines, prop bets, and many more. Use one of our 12 easy deposit methods to get in on the action. And when you win, we offer fast and reliable withdrawals. Sign up now, and we'll match your first deposit up to $250. More bets, better odds, more action. Place your sports bets at BetRivers.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
Hey, it's Rob Belushi from Bill Estes Ford in Brownsburg.
Rob, why are you wearing wings and no shirt?
Well, Brian, love is in the air this month, so I thought I'd play Cupid with our customers.
Because you're short.
No, Brian. For Valentine's Day, we're going to spend the month helping our customers fall in love with a new or pre-owned car.
So, Car Cupid, where's your little bow and arrow?
Don't need them. I shoot straight with great deals all month long. $10,000 off any of our all-new 2021 F-150 XLTs and $8,000 off any Escape.
We also have 200 pre-owned vehicles looking for that special someone. 40 of them very attractively priced under $13,000.
Now you're getting it, Brian.
Prefer dating online? Check any car's personal profile at BillEstesFord.com. Who's Cupid now, Rob?
You are, buddy. Here, take these wings. I'll take my lunch.
But can I keep my shirt on?
Fall in love with $10,000 off any 2021 F-150 XLT and $8,000 off any Escape. And 40 pre-owned vehicles priced under $13,000. Your key is waiting at Bill Estes Ford in Brownsburg.
Hey, Connecticut Water, the absolute best. Best water for 2021 is in your sights with great deals from Joe, John, and Dennis, my friends from Connecticut, everybody. I'm telling you, the best water, the smell, the taste, the feel. Finally, you've had hard water, problem water. Now you have the best water with Connecticut, with great deals on the Premier Series water softener, the in-home drinking water station, the K5. You'll love it, I promise, especially with these great deals. Northeast side Castleton, Southside US 31 and Southport Road. The Connecticut Water app, download that to your smartphone or device today. Online, ConnecticutIndy.com.
Hi, this is Ryan Newman, NASCAR Cup Series driver and champion for a great cause, driven to save lives and organ donation. Look, what I do is dangerous, and nobody's invincible, but we can all do something incredible to save the lives of others. That's why I want you to take a moment and register yourself as an organ donor, like me, at driventosavelives.org. You might just become somebody's real hero.
Pacer fans, All-Star voting is now open. Vote for your favorite Pacers players, including Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, and Malcolm Brogdon.
Brogdon stole the ball. Brogdon racing to the other end. He'll take it in and dunk it.
Learn how to cast your ballot by visiting Pacers.com/vote.
Clean it up, Miles Turner. Clean it up.
Fans can vote once daily through February 16th.
And at the goal, Sabonis somehow blocked a Cousins dunk.
Learn more at Pacers.com/vote.
This is Beth Rovazini, owner of B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. If you need a free second opinion on your HVAC service, go to BigBlackTrucks.com.
B&W, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC, HD2, W298BB, WIBC, HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's a Buddy Friday on the Fan Morning Show with our buddy Kevin Bowen talking Colts and Pacers. Our buddy Doug Rice helps handicap these Daytona 500, and former Butler buddy Chris Holtman previews Saturday's Ohio State and Indiana game. We'll see you at 7.
The Ride with JMV.
Are you kidding? You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium? But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I'm going to tell you this, too, because I'm always accessible to you, right? So if anybody has this weekend, because I'll be down the hall doing the JMV takeover, but if you have any issues with, if you need any heads up on heating or you let me know, heating or plumbing, and I'll set you off in the right direction right there, too, because when they start talking about negative temperatures, I cannot stand it, and that's what we're looking at with the polar vortex. Why is that not a band name? Has that been a band name yet? Polar Vortex, or is that maybe a name of a club up in Canada? I mean, there has to be something called Polar Vortex. Boilermakers, Minnesota, underway from Minneapolis, tied at 4 with nearing 17 minutes to go in the first half of play. Of course, we're going to keep you updated. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline from CBS 4 and Fox 59. He is Mike Chappell. All right, I'm going to lay it out here for you. The alleged reported leak of the Colts offer to the Eagles for Carson Wentz. 2 second-rounders, maybe a third or a fourth-round pick down the road. If that's true, and we'll take it as face value for the sake of the conversation, that is something I would absolutely do. What say you?
Sure. Well, I thought you were going to put a player or two in there as well.
No, this does not put a player in there, but it may not be completely
two twos
accurate.
Or a 2 and a 3, 2 twos, or a 2 and a 3.
It's 2 second-rounders, a third, and a fourth down the road.
Oh. Yeah,
as well.
Probably. I would. I mean, yeah. I mean, they would only do that if they were convinced that he is fixable, that Frank can fix him, and that he can be maybe the guy. You know, I just wouldn't go with Wentz unless I thought he could be my guy for like 6 years. I just don't know. They want to get into this year after year, but that's reasonable. I mean, yeah. I could do that because then you're keeping your one to address left tackle or edge, pass rush. I'd probably do that. Will the Bears see? This is what's funny because when remember this stuff came down early last week or middle of last week, and it was they're close and this is going to happen. It's imminent and it's going to be Matthew Stafford numbers like 2 1s and all this stuff. That had to be smoke coming out of Howie Roseman's, exterior. And teams have been known to blow smoke so that it increases, interest elsewhere. So, to me, if you can get first, if they're pursuing Wentz, is because they believe he solves their problem. And if you can, what is he, 27, 28? And if you can get him without giving up a 1, I just would. Because we talked last week, I believe, I think they've done a good enough job with their draft over the past 3 years that now twos are damn important. I mean, we're talking Darius Leonard and Braden Smith and Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. But when you get your roster pretty well stocked with those guys, third, fourth, and fifths, to me, aren't quite as valuable right now, unless you hit on a Marlon Mack type of guy.
When we've been down the path of getting value for your pick and stuff, I mean, it's time now to. I mean, I would have thought,
yes.
Yeah, Mike, and I would have thought last year too, with what they worked out with DeForest Buckner for number 13 overall. That worked out fantastically. So I'm not suggesting that changed the entire dynamic of how they draft and how they utilize their picks and now being a freewheeling trading team, but at least it should open up the door more than maybe what it had been prior, because the Buckner thing worked out smashingly.
I tell you, if I can get a Pro Bowl, not Pro Bowl, an All-Pro defensive player, any player for the 13th pick in the draft?
It was, yeah.
I'd do that. I mean, I'd much rather have a proven guy that I think what was Buckner when he came here, 25. I think he's 26. Who hasn't we haven't seen his best yet. He's yet to get his prime, so I'd take that any day. So
and you so need a quarterback too. I mean, you obviously you so need a quarterback.
But if you can get that guy without giving up a one, then that one gives you the flexibility to do something else. That's very, very important. Now, whether that's an edge pass rusher, whether that's a left tackle, I don't know. I mean, this is apparently a very deep draft in tackles. So doing that, whatever you do with your quarterback, to not have it cost you your first round pick, it just gives you flexibility. And I've not looked. I say what Wentz's cap number is. Is it 25, 28 million? I think for this coming year.
What is it? I thought 23. Because I mean, his old team takes the hit, the dead money hit. Right. But yeah, I think 23 or 24. I thought, yeah.
That's less than what Rivers was.
Right.
And if Rivers wasn't top 10 cap number, I don't believe, last year. So anything that brings you a quarterback, again, they would only do it if they believed he was the guy. If you can get that guy without giving up a one, it just opens up so much for what you need to do, and I would think they would do it, but it's easy. It is so fun. That's what the good and the bad about this time of year is. There's so much BS out there, and it allows us to write BS, and you guys to talk BS and throw stuff on the wall, and then when nothing happens, nobody comes back in May and says, you guys said back in February. Well, we don't, that's history, but it's just cool to think about, and if there's some juice to that, I would certainly listen.
It's also been talked about, I guess Schefter said this somewhere, not sure as hell not here, but Schefter said this somewhere, that the Colts, the Washington football team, and Carolina have all had conversations with the Jets about Sam Darnold. I've stated this in the past. I would rather have Sam Darnold than Carson Wentz. That's just me. I don't love Sam Darnold. I don't love him more than Carson Wentz, but if you're going to have me pick between the two, I would take Darnold over Wentz.
I'd probably be in the same, boat with you. I don't know how badly Wentz is broken. Whether that's something that's fixable, we're talking as much maybe between the years as with his game and maybe how much he just totally regressed mechanics and all that, and I don't think that's a small thing. I go back to the Manning years and how much they so harped on doing things the right way with playing a position, even when it's not going well. But last year was such a dumpster fire in Philly at the position. But how do you assess Sam Darnold with what they've done there, and whatever it takes to get him is going to be a hell of a lot less than it's going to take to get Wentz. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm not crazy about waiting until the draft. I'm just not. I've seen some drafts having the Alabama kid, Mac Jones?
Yeah.
Being there at 21, which I'm not convinced he will be.
See, I agree, because everybody falls in love with the quarterback, and then that's where desperation sets in. I think all these quarterbacks you think in the first round they're going to slide down to the end or to the second round will not.
They're going to be gone by, I'd have to see who's picking 14 or 15, but I think they're going to be gone by then. And do you like him that much to move up to wherever to get him? I don't know. I watched that guy play, and he looked really good, but God, he's playing with an all-star group. He's playing 7-on-7, and I would hope my quarterback can complete passes in that. But you listen to Ballard, not so much Chris, although he did say this, but Jim Irsay it's their preference is to go with a veteran. It just is, and for a lot of reasons. And again, I kind of wrote about it today, or I mentioned it today in a story on the free agency and what they've done. They've been awfully damn good in free agency. They really have. They've not gone crazy with the big ticket guys other than Rivers last year. I did hits and misses. I had trouble coming up with misses. I just did. The misses they've had have been because of injuries. Devin Funchess last year, $10 million, and he got hurt. It's not like you missed on him; he was just hurt. But I just think that again, this roster is ready to compete. And Irsay, I can't remember which one was stronger. I thought maybe Irsay was, to where he doesn't want to bring in a young guy who might need a year or two to really develop. And they want to strike the iron right now. And that's not to mean they're all in now, because they're not. This isn't back, in the previous regime where it was, we're going to load up after, remember the AFC title game, and they went crazy in free agency and it just didn't work. That's not what this is. You just want to maximize. You want to maximize guys where they are now with the Quentin Nelsons and Darius and Kenny Moore and all these guys. The offensive line, that they're ready to win now. If you can get the quarterback, and if you can get the quarterback and their left tackle and edge rusher, and again doing it now, getting a free agent now. Either it's Darnold and he's not going to cost you nearly as much, or Carson Wentz and keeping your first round pick. You can kind of do what you need to do in this offseason.
It's funny. I don't know how you view the Colts in free agency. I view them as not really going that far in. They just kind of dabble. Is that a fair assessment? Kind of you dabble in free agency, and when you dabble in free agency, more times than not, you're not going to be burned, because even when somebody like Devin Funchess and that happens and he plays 3 quarters in the season, you don't invest enough for it to hurt.
Right. I was looking, and you just look Phillip Rivers and Xavier Rhodes, 1 year, $3 million. Really, that was a major hit. But look at the ones that they've hit on: Justin Houston, Danico Autry, Eric Ebron. It worked, and it worked until it didn't.
Well, it worked until what's his nuts quit, and then it didn't. Like It didn't for anybody. Yeah.
Right, but Jabal Sherrod. I mean, they had some major hits. Marcus Hunt initially was a big hit. Al Woods, T.J. Carey, Trey Burton, and the misses are like you said. The ones that didn't really work because the guy didn't play much. Sheldon Day. Well, that was 1 year. About $2 million. That's relatively speaking nothing. Matt Slauson, 1 year, $3 million. He had a season-ending, career-ending back injury. The one that just kind of jumps out, remember they brought in Jeff Locke to be McAfee's replacement.
Yeah.
Well, it only cost them like $1 million.
Right.
So it's not like they paid hand over fist and the guy didn't play. It didn't work out. So they've done a very good job of addressing specific needs, yet not paying, top. There have been a couple players they went after, and Chris told me once that there's like 2 that it turned out they're glad they didn't get because it didn't work out wherever that guy signed.
And see, I'd like to know the other side of it. I'd like to know if there's been anybody that you didn't go after and it was because of a price tag that you would have felt ultimately would have helped the team that you didn't go after, and he helped somebody else.
Right, and I'm sure there are, but
wide receivers, because we talk about this all the time. I've never thought until they drafted Michael Pittman Jr. they've ever taken that position seriously. Never.
I've had conversations with Chris, and he and I are. You and I are in one boat, and he's in another boat headed the other way. Where
I think I'm not going to float on his boat. So
he just believes that you can get. I don't say get by. That's not accurate, but that you don't need to go big ticket guys, and I would argue it a little bit. I would, and we're going to see if they don't bring Ty back. Whether that's going to work, because I'm not 100% convinced that Michael Pittman is that. Reggie Wayne guy. And it's unfair to compare him to that guy, but that's what you want him to be. You want him to be, a no doubt number one, and we haven't seen really enough of him. He shows you maybe, but if Ty doesn't come back, then you've got You've got Pittman, and you've got Zach Pascal, who you really like, but he's not a one or a two. And then you're banking on Paris Campbell. And, God, you'd love to see this guy stay healthy because he really looks good. He's got the size and the speed, and yet he's been hurt. So, yeah, you and me and Chris Ballard are you and I are in one boat and Chris is in another. And
yeah.
I just don't, I just don't think we're going to still be alive when they pay monster money for a receiver, because I just don't think that's where they prioritize the position.
Well, I mean, if you don't find a quarterback, why would you anyway now?
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the other thing. You know, what's interesting about the Wentz thing, I had felt all along, and we'll see how this works out, that Chris has mentioned before that they're not going to panic or anything, work out of desperation. But if there's a team that you might think would be doing that, it would be Nagy and Pace in Chicago, that desperately need a quarterback and desperately need a really good season in Chicago to save their gigs. That's where I thought if there was going to be a reclamation project of Carson Wentz, that's where it may end up, in Chicago.
Yeah, and that's where, like you said, desperation might drive the price up, because, again, that regime's on a lot more thin ice than, Chris and Frank Reich. I mean, you'd have to have an extra grind to say these guys are going, working for their jobs right now. That's just not the case. Well, maybe that is the case in Chicago. And, what's crazy, though, is they got Trubisky, and he might be out there. And would you like Trubisky? I mean, no. I just no. So it's really fun to speculate, but until the Carson Wentz, it's like dominoes. They got to fall in order, and the first one was Stafford, now it's Wentz, and then it'll be, Darnold. Maybe the last one to fall is Matt Ryan. If the Falcons aren't they at 4, if they pick a quarterback at 4, if you're picking a quarterback at 4, is that the play right away? I wouldn't mind having Matt Ryan for a year or two, but it doesn't solve what you're trying to get done here. So that's what's cool about this offseason. I thought last offseason was crazy with all the quarterback movement, with the Brady's and the Cam Newtons and and Winston and all those guys. This is gonna be more so, it seems like, because there's gonna be a lot of. I think I saw something Schefter might have mentioned, or somebody, that he could see 18 teams have different quarterbacks this year. That's crazy. That's absolutely ridiculous. But that just shows you where you're always trying to find that guy, and if it's just clear that if you don't have that guy, you have no chance. You have very little chance to succeed. And if you get that, that's why that's why the desperation is going to impact the draft, to where you don't want to be that team that needs a quarterback and you pass up on one of these 5 guys, even though you know that the history tells you that 2 of these guys aren't going to be the guy, maybe 3 of them.
Yeah, and in the culture, in a different situation where, regardless. I know that Chris and Frank are incredibly comfortable and very unlike and opposite of Pace and Nagy in Chicago. But what Jim says, the rah-rah stuff about Chris and Frank, and Chris says the window is just now cracking open, I'd have to think that if things don't go right, the conversation behind closed doors from Jim is much different than what we hear publicly from him. You know what I mean?
Well,
as far as that's concerned.
This is a bottom-line business, and he's got a roster, and he's got a franchise that just being okay isn't good enough, and it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. Now, to think that you're going to legitimately have a Super Bowl caliber team every year, I mean, how many teams have that? 3 or 4? I don't know, 3 or 4 with Green Bay, and then I was going to say New England, but that era is gone. But there's just a handful of teams. But you want to be good enough every year that if things go right and maybe you get a break or 2 and you stay healthy, that you're standing at the end. And this team isn't, again, they've got those holes they've got to address. But we go back to how close they were to beating Buffalo. It wasn't that they needed a fluke, catch at the end of the game. They were right there. They were. And Buffalo's looked as the second best team, arguably, in the AFC behind KC. So I just think that again, the expectation should be high. But I'm not saying I just don't. I can't imagine that if they fall short next year, all of a sudden for whatever now, unless they just tank somehow and not tank, but just things don't go well and it's an awful year. I just can't believe that they are in that kind of a mode out there to where, listen, guys, you got to get it done now. But that's why this offseason is so important. Is you need to make the moves to keep this team where it is, which is in the top, 3 or 4 or 5 teams in the conference. And it was like all those teams in the 2000s. The important thing is to keep pounding on the door, keep being there, and then when things fall in place, you cash in. And before you know it, you're in the Super Bowl. Before you know it, you win it. So at least this team's in the discussion. And that's why, again, it all starts with the quarterback. With that guy.
That was weird. I didn't do that. I didn't touch it. They get Mike back because I wanted to drop in an interesting comment. And I want to ask about Hunter Henry and the tight end position. We haven't spent much time on that, whether or not he thinks that they would have significant interest in Hunter Henry. Because most people suggest that maybe it'd be Zach Ertz, but Zach Ertz wasn't what he used to be. Mike Chappell rejoins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I did not touch anything, so I apologize for that.
It's Beach Grove. We probably had the hamsters quit running in the cage, so,
I'm going to be really excited when the starter's Carson Wentz and the backup's Nick Foles again, right? That's what's going to happen here. When Nick Foles gets cut by the Bears at some point, that's what's going to happen. Do you think that the Colts, as has been reported, would have some maybe significant interest in Hunter Henry, the tight end?
Well, remember the 2 positions that Jim Irsay talked about was, I see 10 and 87 out there. I'm talking about Kansas City with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. So, yeah, I mean, that's what's been missing since Ebron's Pro Bowl year is a tight end that stretches the field that can really be a factor, and that's not to discount Jack Doyle. I mean, Jack Doyle does what Jack Doyle does, but it's not the same. I think I heard you talk about Zach Ertz. Is that a possibility? So much will be on what it costs to get those guys.
Only if Wentz and Foles are the quarterbacks here, yeah. Will Ertz be here too with Trey Burton, right? So it'd be get the band back together again.
I know. So, but I tell you, sometimes connecting the dots, it's easy to do. But I just think they are really, really intent on, again, when Jim Irsay says, and again, I don't know that he has serious input with Chris, and they have discussions with Frank all the time. But when you hear the owner talking publicly about, we need playmakers, we need that tight end, we need that receiver. Yes, we need pass rushers, and he talks about that. But it's just kind of obvious as much as they've talked about chunk plays and explosive plays, and they went out and got Pittman and Taylor in the draft because they wanted those playmakers. That's how you win offensively. You win with the big plays. It starts with the quarterback, but this team it ranked them high in the league in chunk plays and 20-yard pass plays, but they weren't over the top plays necessarily. It was 20, 25, and 28. They need that quick strike that they used to have back when T.Y. was going full guns and all that. So I won't be surprised if they do try to find those playmakers, but are they willing to pay that top dollar on the open market? They've not done that to this point.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be interesting too to see if there's legitimacy. I mean, certainly there is interest, you would think, to lob out an offer. There has to be, given their quarterback or lack thereof situation. But
I wonder what the hurry would be with the Eagles. Isn't there a deadline of May or of March?
Start of the league new year, I think, is when.
Yeah, the second or third of the year.
Yeah.
Day of the new. So that's the middle of March. So I would hope for the Colts, the sooner the better. And then what if you can go on to plan B. If you get the quarterback done, you mark that off and you move to the next one, which makes it easier. I mean, it's not necessary. I don't think you want to go into the draft not knowing who your quarterback is or if where you're at. So, and the way the win situation is, it won't go past the middle of March because the Eagles want to move him before he's due that $10 million bonus.
No, and it seems like that the Eagles probably wouldn't look at that alleged offer from the Colts realistically, considering what we have heard that they feel is deserved on a trade value market.
You just don't know which is which is legit. It's gone from Matthew Stafford type numbers to 2 2s and a 3 and a 4, whatever. That's what's kind of crazy. Maybe it's somewhere in between. But I'll go back to what we both talked about. If you can get Wentz and keep your one, boy, it'd be hard not to do that.
I'd agree. I would, even though I probably would look at Darnold or want to look at Darnold before Wentz. I mean, you do have background with Wentz and Reich, and so.
Well, the Jets can't stick with Darnold, can they? I mean.
No. I mean, and you say the same thing about Ryan in Atlanta. I mean, if they end up, how can you continue down that path with your quarterback if that's the desired choice you have with your early first round picks? So
it's fun going over all this stuff, and probably 80% of it's BS, but it's just kind of interesting to keep track of.
No, I said the other day that I let everybody know that probably over the course of the week, 90% of what we talk about with this in mind is going to turn out to be complete BS.
Right.
But it's going to be worth your time and effort because everybody loves a spirited conversation about this. Right?
I hear you. It's either that or pay attention to the impeachment hearings. That stuff kind of wears on me after a while, so I need some sports diversion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, it's always a pleasure, Mike. Have a great weekend. Stay warm over there in the Grove.
We'll stay warm and you stay healthy.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. The polar vortex is coming. Yeah, I think I just dropped this Inside the Lounge on YouTube Live if you would rather have Wentz or Darnold. Zibby asks, why do you prefer Darnold? And listen, it's not a hardcore preference I have. I just think a little bit younger, fairly, if not completely untapped compared to what you saw with Wentz a year ago. I guess a lot of me is concerned that Wentz and how he looked last year is how he looks now. And not completely a product of a broken down, useless, injured, fractured in the locker room squad. But believe me, it's not like one is largely over the other. I mean, again, it's just kind of, you need a quarterback, and who's it going to be? Anyway, we'll get back with your conversation. Leave with Stefan coming up on the other side. We have time for your calls at 239-1070. Let's do that. Ryan Mcgee, Michael Grady, Brendan Quinn, Mike Chappell, podcast 1075thefan.com. Mike Wells, Don Fisher, and a lot going on coming up on Friday's show. I'm going to be giving away free liquor. I'll explain that. Not tomorrow, but on Saturday. I'll explain. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it. Whatever. I'm allowed to say whatever I want. But, free liquor, I guess, on Saturday before Valentine's Day, which is extra special. We'll tell you about that coming up before the top of the hour. This is 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Tony Dungy. Everybody was all in on Matthew Stafford. Where does that leave the Colts now?
I personally like Jacoby Brissett. I wouldn't be in a desperate situation right now and say, oh, guys, if we don't get a quarterback, our season's over. Do you look at the other veteran guys, or do you just say, we'll roll with Jacoby and draft a young quarterback and be ready to move on?
The Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Weekday mornings at 7
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, JMV, I'm talking about the polar vortex and the possibility that something in your home can be compromised. And really, when it gets this cold, when it dies below zero, first thing you think about is pipes and the prospect of frozen pipes. And, yeah, that does worry you. It certainly worries me, but I have that peace of mind because it's Lance and LD Smith Plumbing to the rescue. And I want to give you that peace of mind as well. 317-284-9526, because Lance and LD Smith Plumbing, a local company that you can count on under any set of circumstances, from something that can be taken care of at any point, an adjustment that needs to be made, or a plumbing emergency that can happen during a polar vortex or extremely cold temperatures. Just having that peace of mind and knowing all you need to do is call 317-284-9526 and talk to Lance and LD Smith Plumbing, and they're going to come out 24/7, 365 and get the job done for you and get the job done right. This is when you need to know the greatness of your plumber. And LD Smith Plumbing is just that. And by the way, right now, for my listeners, you mentioned to Lance and the team at LD Smith Plumbing my name. Say, hey, I heard this on JMV. They'll give you $50 off any service. That's $50 off any service at LD Smith Plumbing. 317-284-9526. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com today.
Another reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is Zipline? It's Golden Oak's fast and easy online mortgage application tool that leaves you with more time to take the dog for a long evening walk. Good dog. Plan a family movie night.
I get to pick the movie. No, it's my turn. It's not.
Okay, double feature it is. And still have time to clean up the popcorn you weren't planning on sharing.
Toby.
Bad dog. At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it for our customers throughout their lives. Right now, rates are at a record low 1.875%. Take advantage of today's low rates by visiting us online at goldenoaklending.com to use Zipline, a simple tool that will make your next home loan or refi a breeze. And remember, at Golden Oak, we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Hey, John here. Hey, this is really great deals all the way around. If you're thinking about getting a new set of wheels, car, truck, or van, Eric Wilson, General Manager, Andy Moore Buick GMC in Fishers. That's 131st and State Road 37. That's the place you need to go. That is the absolute best. I talk about hassle-free, one-stop shopping. Let Eric and his staff put you in a great set of wheels at an unmatched deal like this. How about up to $10,000 off the brand new Buick Envision? I'm driving around the Acadia. That's GMC. The SLE, zero down payment, $249 a month. I'm telling you, right now is a great time to get that new set of wheels. And if you dig on trucks, half-ton crew cab trucks, 0% for 72 months going on right now. Hey, there's more. Absolutely more to be had at Andy Moore Buick GMC in Fishers. Talk to Eric Wilson about it and figure out what you like, and then let Eric and the staff go to work for you. Tell them I sent you. Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
When you place a wager with William Hill Sportsbook, every sports moment is even more interesting. And we have a special 2021 offer to help you bet on all your favorite sports risk-free. Download the William Hill Sportsbook app, and when you sign up, you can get started with a risk-free bet of up to $2,021. Use promo code RADIORF. Must be physically present in Indiana. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Let's make it interesting with William Hill Sportsbook.
Spectrum Mobile is the fastest growing mobile provider in the nation. It's easy to see why millions have chosen a better way to mobile. With Spectrum Mobile, there are no contracts and no added fees. Even nationwide 5G is included at no extra cost. Switch today and you could save big. Grab your current mobile bill and use the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator to see how much you can save. Go to spectrummobile.com/saving today. Spectrum Internet required based on Q2 2020 subscriber data. Services not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Hey, CarX Tire and Auto, got a tire sale going on right now. Hey, listen, the wintertime can be rough. The roads of winter can be rough on your tires. Are your tires right now, and whatever you're driving, are getting the type of traction that's necessary in these ultra-slick conditions, like, for example, what we saw this morning? Well, CarX is the place to go. One of the 13 area locations during this tire sale. You can save $140 on a set of 4 tires. And we are talking brand names here, including Continental, Cooper, and General. And CarX Tire will meet or beat any competitor's tire offer. I'm telling you, Joe Childers run CarX locations are the absolute best. And you know my guys down in Greenwood are awesome. Right there in front of Menards on 135 with Micah and Kevin. How about over in Beech Grove off of Thompson Road? You're going to find yourself a fantastic CarX location. And in Mooresville, everybody, there's one there for you as well. If you're looking for it, it's going to be close to you. All you got to do is log on and find it, carx.com, today.
Don't miss your shot. Get pre-approved today for your new home with our 5-minute loan approval. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like Baptist Heating and Air? Well, find that American Standard dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood is like a sports bar for your head. It's on State Road 135 just north of Smith Valley Road. Lady Jane's in Greenwood, it's wicked awesome.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Now through February 15th, get free installation on select sets of Michelin tires. Only at Big O Tires, the team you trust.
The Ride with JMV.
Get him a body bag! Yeah! All right.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Mike Chappell, Ryan Mcgee, Michael Grady, Brendan Quinn. Podcasts with each. 1075thefan.com. Oh, yeah, Jennifer Berger from Zionsville is going to go with the Force MDs. Remember, tomorrow on this show, my re-entries will all be for the love. All slow jam re-entries coming up tomorrow in honor of Sunday's Valentine's Day. And remember, down the hall on Sunday. Check that. On Saturday night, 6 until midnight, the JMV Takeover. B105.7. It's going to be the normal all-request game that I play in there with you, which is outstanding. But we'll also do love song, shout-out, and requests for you in honor of Valentine's Day on Saturday night. And I'm going to give you some free liquor because that's just the type of guy that I am. Tyler K. writes this: JMV, the Pacers really need a win tonight in Detroit. Try to regain some confidence. This has got to be one of those JMV must-wins. Yes, I have already officially tagged tonight's Pacers-Pistons game as a must-win situation. Indeed it is. Must-win for the Pacers tonight in Detroit. 8P tip, 7:30 pregame coverage right here. 239-1070. Stefan is up first. I think it's the first time we've gone to the phones today. Stefan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, JMV, how you doing, man?
Great to hear from you.
With you, man.
You got it.
All right, if this is true and Orlando Brown Jr. is on the trading block, at this point, dump the quarterback situation and go straight after him.
Straight after Orlando Brown. I don't think they will, but tell me, why should they?
Okay, so this is why. The left tackle situation, you got him on a rookie deal. Now, I'm not about to be a fan of no one in Indianapolis. They're about to hate me for this. But if they would take it, I would trade Michael Pittman Jr. and a third rounder for him. That solidifies the offensive line. That gives you money in free agency. That buys us time with the quarterback situation, and we keep our ones.
Yeah, you're right. People are going to hate you for that. To me, if this whole deal leak is accurate, Stefan, to me they're trying to protect and solidify that 21 pick, and to me that means they're going to select a left tackle. That's kind of my thought there. That's why.
Yeah, Orlando,
that's why.
He's already solidified.
Well, I mean, I think they're going to draft one at 21. If this is true, if this leak of this deal is true and what they're offering, it seems like that they're hell bent on protecting 21, and 21 to me would be a left tackle. And maybe. Right, I'll be honest with you, Stefan. I mean, knowing knowing Ballard, it may be a trade down left tackle. If, for example, Eichenberg of Notre Dame is into the first round type of guy, if this whole draft is as deep at tackle as people suggest that it is, it may be a trade down situation too.
Yeah, but I mean, that gives us trading for Orlando automatic. It's like getting DeForest Buckner all over again, but on the offensive line. And then on top of that,
what did he do? Did he move from right tackle to left tackle when Ronnie Stanley went down last year in Baltimore, correct?
Yeah, he did, and he solidified it. He did.
Yeah, I'm not trying to suggest or downplay the importance of left tackle on what you're saying here. I just don't happen to think that's the path they're going to take.
I just feel like it gives us more options with our draft as opposed to, man, Carson Wentz, no, I can't deal with giving up a whole lot for him. And it sounds like Ballard is not going to, which is great. But, I mean, being able to keep our ones and get the left tackle, which fills a major hole on our team, gives us room and time to fix some stuff.
Hey, Stephon, we'll see where it goes. I just don't think people are going to really buy that particular scenario. But, hey, man, everything's in play here. You never know. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Stephon's a good caller, though. And, listen, it sounds like it's out there, but he wants to solidify left tackle. Go ahead.
One thing is Laramie Tunsil went from the Dolphins to the Texans a few years ago, another young left tackle. It took 2 first-round picks to get him out of Miami. So an Orlando Brown deal, you're probably looking at multiple first-round picks.
You would have to, yeah. You know, Ronnie Stanley's coming back next year. Now, all that does is take away the right tackle, right, in Baltimore with Orlando Brown.
But if Orlando Brown is going to say, hey, I'm a left tackle, I'm only playing left tackle, then Baltimore's going to try to trade him.
Yeah. That makes sense because you're right. Tunsil did get, but that was Houston.
That was Houston,
and
yeah. Houston might have
getting fleeced.
That was O'Brien making that deal.
So we'll see. JMV, the only reason Orlando Brown was starting at left tackle last season because Ronnie Stanley was hurt doesn't make sense. He's 33. And, I mean, it makes sense if you're a believer in left tackle right now. To me, my theory is if this whole leak of information and possible with what the offer is from the Colts for Carson Wentz, if there's any truth to that, it kind of seems like that they want to protect 21. That's just all I'm saying. Jimmy's up next at 239-1070. Hello, Jimmy.
Hey, what's up, John? How
Hello,
are you, my
Jimmy.
friend?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
Great. Hey, real quick before I get to my point, the one thing that I miss the most with this whole COVID pandemic going on is going down to Banker's Life and going down early and watching warm-ups and then mingling with people like our guy Chris Hagan and Dave Calabro and Taylor Tannenbaum and just all those great sports people. And I hope things get back to normal as soon as possible. And also, obviously, for your remotes, too. You know how much I love coming out and seeing you guys.
I love remotes. We're going to get fired up. We're going to be doing some remotes from what I have seen in March, big time. So we're going to fire that back up again.
I'll look forward to that. Hey, real quick, 2 things. One, I really think it would be a great idea if Chris Ballard and the Colts brought in a guy like Zach Ertz, who you mentioned earlier, for tight end, to complement Jack Doyle and just give us another. I mean, he's not a great weapon, but he's a solid player, and I think he would be a great addition. And then one more thing, John. I just want to give a shout-out and props to LaVall Jordan and the Butler Bulldogs right now. They're having obviously you've been following, they're great win against St. John's, and they've been dealing with COVID like all the other programs, but I'm really excited and looking forward to what the future holds for Butler. So have a great night, John.
You got it, Jimmy. Thank you. Jimmy, say hello to the family for me. Graham's at 239-1070. Graham, go ahead.
Hey, JMV. Just wanted to start out by saying great show today. It's always really, really nice to have, consistent insiders in the NFL. So
thank you, man. I appreciate that, Graham. That's very nice of you to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to, hit on the Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold situation. I know that you have been talking about Sam Darnold. I don't know what it is, but, the more and more that I hear about, Carson Wentz's situation, I feel like we could, hit another, Phillip Rivers situation. It's like you have a guy that has a terrible season on the team that he's with, and I really feel like a reuniting with Frank Reich would be good for him.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the other side. That's the opposite end of what I'm talking about here. To me, my thought was he just kind of looked broken. But the reason why most people would agree with it is similar to your thoughts here, because Reich is here. It's a change of scenery. It's a better offensive line. As long as you get somebody to cover you at left tackle. I mean, it's everything that many people excused him because of his failure and his downslide this past year that the Colts have that he didn't have there. So that is the other end of the argument compared to what I brought up about just in general him looking like a broken quarterback and is what he is at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, maybe because of that, who knows? Maybe we get him and we keep that first pick, and like you said, get Eichenberg at 21.
Yeah, and who knows? People laugh about this when I mention it, but he may trade down. If you can get Eichenberg lower, that may be a trade down situation from 21, if that's who they target. Again, my whole theory, if this is leaked and there's any truth to it, that they're really trying to protect 21 for a reason, and I would have to think, unless it's an edge rusher, that reason would be left tackle.
Right, absolutely. And you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, it's I trust Frank Reich. Seeing what he did with Phillip Rivers, I trust that they're going to make a competent and a right decision.
You got it, Graham. Thank you for the call. Appreciate that. Let us take a quick break. We'll get Tony in here and then close up shop. Ryan Mcgee, Michael Grady, Brendan Quinn, Mike Chappell, podcast for each, 1075thefan.com. Give you a little insight on tomorrow's show. Quick shout out to the lounge on YouTube Live, because you guys, as always, have been great and set you up for the weekend, a cold weekend as well, with 93.5, 1075 and 1070 The Fan.
Kids, tell your parents about Forum Sprout of the Month contest, where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
Lover's Lane presents the do's and don'ts for this Valentine's Day. Do make your loved one feel special. Don't forget, Valentine's is the 14th. Don't feel sad if you don't have a date. Do something special for you. Don't be boring. Be adventurous, romantic, playful. Valentine's Day at Lover's Lane is always new, always exciting. This Valentine's Day, don't just gift. Give the best gift ever. Find a store near you at loverslane.com.
All right, me messing up before Valentine's Day, like one and the same. Every year I have messed up. I never got it right. I never have until now, because now I partnered up with ProFlowers.com, an FTD company, and there it is, a bouquet, an arrangement of incredible flowers. Thoughtful, I mean, really on both sides. Thoughtful from my standpoint for Christy, but genius for me too, because it looks like, wow, you went to all this trouble to do this for Valentine's Day. Thank you very much. And there's no trouble at all. It is easy with ProFlowers.com, an FTD company. It is easy to find what is perfect for her. Whoever is in your life right now, too, that you want to give and make happy on this Valentine's Day. Just what you get in a bouquet of flowers with ProFlowers.com is incredible. The colors, the petals, the scent, you will absolutely love it all. And I love that it is hassle-free. And I also love this, because you're my friends out there and you need this helper as well. ProFlowers.com, an FTD company. ProFlowers.com, promo code JMV. They're going to give you 20% off your next purchase. So you can get something right now, just in time for Valentine's Day. Get 20% off. ProFlowers.com, promo code JMV. Use it and get that 20% off now before Valentine's Day. ProFlowers.com, promo code JMV. Let's all hit a home run on Valentine's Day with ProFlowers.com.
My daughter's making college plans, and she's got a long wish list for her future. We toured IUPUI, and we're impressed. With the campus located in downtown Indianapolis, she'll have access to real-world opportunities that will put her education to work. And with professors ranked in the top 50 nationwide for exceptional undergraduate teaching, she'll have the guidance she needs to make her future goals a reality. Want to know more? Go to iupui.edu.
This ad for Hellsberg Diamonds has been specifically written for people who would rather think about football
than engagement rings. If we're going to sign a new quarterback to a long-term contract, it'd be great if there were some guarantees. And if that quarterback were a diamond from Hellsberg, there would be a price match guarantee, meaning you won't find better quality at a better price anywhere. That guarantee would make it easier to sign that quarterback, and at Hellsberg, buy that engagement ring. All made possible by one of Hellsberg's great financing options. Visit your local Hellsberg store or at hellsberg.com. Hellsberg Diamonds, a Berkshire Hathaway company.
Hey, it's JMV here, and one of the things I love about betting on Hoop is, well, you're always finding new player props or game props that I really like, and you will too. And what's cool about FanDuel Sportsbook is that you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. Hey, really, sign up and try this later on tonight. And watch a little Pacers, Pistons, hoopage, something like that. I mean, you can hard target a player, point total, rebounds, assists. You can just utilize the money line, a point spread, over, under, whatever. It is genius. And right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls a leg short. With something called same-game parlay insurance, and you heard that right, every day. Same-game parlay insurance with FanDuel Sportsbook. It is awesome. I'm telling you what, it is easy, and the live betting is really awesome with this too. So take advantage of it. Again, new and existing users, $25 back, and you can, even if you come one leg short on your parlay here, with something called same-game parlay insurance. Hey, sign up today. That is FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JMV. FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JMV. 21 plus and present in Indiana. Refund issued is now withdrawable site credit. Expires in 7 days. Max refund $25. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Listen closely. A gentle Gulf breeze floats through the air. Emerald green waters gently lap the shoreline. Palm trees sway gently to and fro. Let your senses come alive in St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, where miles of white sand beaches meet world-class sunsets, where all things vibrant and vivid come together. Plan your next escape at embraceyoursenses.com.
The non-stop action of tennis takes center court at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Bet Rivers serves up an exciting tennis betting experience like no other, with a massive number of live in-game betting options, including point-by-point betting. But don't just bet on the game live. Watch it live. Bet Rivers Sportsbook live streams a huge number of tour events from around the world throughout the tennis season. Try it today, and Bet Rivers will match your first deposit up to $250. It's a winner. Bet on tennis at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Go now to betrivers.com. Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-844.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. We're a month into 2021. Mortgage interest rates are still sitting at these all-time lows, but we don't know how much longer that will last. Don't miss your opportunity to lock a rate in the twos. You could be saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month with a simple refinance. Start saving now before it's too late. The 5-minute loan approval only available at thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Let me grab Tony at 239-1070. Tony, go ahead. We got to go quick. What's up?
Okay, John, real quick. If we're going to give up 2 first-round or 2 second-round picks for Wentz, which I'm not totally happy about, but I can see that happening, what if we sign and then trade Jacoby as a backup, and I believe Fitzpatrick is a free agent, sign him for the backup role for Wentz in case that doesn't work out. I mean,
Tony, you call any time too, Tony. I got to run here, but thank you for the hold and the call. I mean, if a team wanted Jacoby, they just signed him. A team wanted Fitzpatrick, they would just sign him. So, to me, don't be surprised. I'm just throwing this out here because I've told you before that Frank they like Nick Foles. Don't be surprised if he's here in some form or fashion as a backup. We'll see. Mcgee, Grady, Quinn, and Chapel today. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Very special, awesome show tomorrow. Great job over there, Kyle. Appreciate it. Pacer hoopage tonight. Enjoy the game. Must win.
We go out as a group of guys, some former players, and they are just blown away with how great my hair looks. I did the multi-unit hair grafting because I was tired of having to wear a hat.
My friend Rick DeMully, Indiana's own former professional football player, and I both know We Grow Hair Indy is the most trusted medical hair restoration clinic and the only company in the Midwest that has the ARTIST robotic FUE and multi-unit hair grafting. Call 888-724-5129 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com. We Grow Hair Indy PRP treatments helps me keep my non-transplanted hair. Takes about 45 minutes in this busy world.